Hi, everybody.
Hello.
So sorry that I am running so late. I've had a little hiccup. I was going to be doing a live site with Michelle on the Tara Grinstead case, and she's caught in a little bit of bad weather. So I was like, well, crud. Like, what do I do? And then I was like, well, I can always like talk some Johnny Depp. And these two lovely ladies, which one is Missy, who's right next to me, Missy Lanius. You guys may know her from
Hi.
the chat. And then you guys all know the lovely Jen Liu from the Ward Case Studies.
Hello.
These two lovely ladies were like, we'll help. We'll talk some Johnny Depp with you. They were like, we can't do some Tara Grinstead right now, but we'll do some Johnny Depp. I was like, I'm good, man. Let's do it. So, Missy and Jen, thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you, chat. I know it's later than normal, and most of my East Coast overseas people are done. They're not going to be here tonight, but that's okay. Hopefully, they catch the replay.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on.
Always love to come on. You know I love you.
So it'll be very interesting though, because you guys haven't actually got to talk with Missy about the case, and she's actually got a lot of history, a lot of knowledge about the history of Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, and kind of what they've been through in their previous trials and hearings. So we can bring you a little bit of the backstory too, and then Jen Liu always bringing the knowledge and dropping the knowledge for us, and making us rethink things that we thought were true that might not always be.
I'm seriously thinking about making a PayPal pool for law school, y'all.
You probably should. You probably should. I'll tell you, going back to school though, when you're older, is not the easiest task in the whole world. But your kids are grown.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have one that's not grown yet, but she's, almost grown. I'm not
Grown enough that she can warm up her own food.
Right. She'll be a senior next year, so
Right.
yeah. So she can be somewhat unsupervised.
The littles make it a little harder to function. They need a lot of attention.
Yeah, they do. And it goes quick too, so just give them all the attention you can, because they don't want it after a while,
Yeah, I like the cuddles still.
I miss it. I don't have the cuddles anymore. I have Alice. Alice cuddles with me.
Alice cuddles.
Yeah. And then she claws my boob, so it is what it is.
Does she do the whole like?
Yeah,
this?
that's what she does. She needs my boobs.
That,
yeah.
That took away from her mommy too soon and likes to try to milk everything because she thinks she's Ben Stiller.
Right. I can milk anything as long as it has teats.
Oh God.
That's the line. I have teats. Could you milk me, Greg?
Jinx.
All right. Well, thank you guys once again for being here. Let's see. Where in the world did we even leave off the last time we were talking about this? Because I think that have we talked about it since they've been back from break?
I don't know. My brain has been pudding. I'm just excited for next week. The rebuttal witnesses, I'm all about it. I can't wait for this. I hope that they let Amber Heard's team run out of time. They're almost out of time. And this is what I'm excited for, is the time crunch, to see how they manage.
So they have like 8 hours left, is that right? And then Johnny's team has like 18 hours?
Yes, each side has 61 hours and 15 minutes to present their case. Johnny Depp has used 42 hours and 45 minutes. He has 18 hours and 30 minutes left. Amber has used 53 hours and 1 minute, and she has 8 hours and 14 minutes left. But they both get 2 hours for closing arguments.
That doesn't count in their 61 hours.
Mm-mm.
No, the 61 was just to present.
Yep. Just to present their case in chief on each side.
Mm-hmm. How long do they get for rebuttal, though? Does that go towards their 61?
It's out of their time. Yep. So they have to manage their time. So they have 8 hours left. So they have not rested. So that's why I'm interested to see what they do and what order Johnny's side puts up for rebuttal. If they make them run out of time, I would put Dr. Curry last. That's who I want to see go last. I want to see them bring Dr. Curry back in to close out, remind everyone that she is a crazy bitch and they will not be able to object.
So,
That would be
okay,
my
so then I
reading.
have a question, and maybe you know the answer. On the rebuttal, can they put witnesses up that are just going to testify to what they've already testified to? Like, she's already gone up there and said that she believes that she was, borderline personality disorder, histrionic disorder, and that she felt like she was basically lying on most of the questionnaires that she filled out. So can she just go up there and say the same thing, or does she have to actually like say something new?
She can go in and say, everything you have seen is exactly what I'm talking about. The lying, everything else is everybody else's fault but hers. She's only the one that tells the truth. She can go back up and testify. Expert witnesses are allowed to watch the trial and they can give their opinion on what they're seeing. So Dr. Curry can
You
come
don't
up
think
and
she'll just be like, so everything that you guys just saw over the last week and a half is exactly why I think that
yes,
she has
yes,
BPD.
that's exactly what she could do that, and that's exactly what I hope she does.
Well, I disagree with putting Dr. Curry on last.
Who do you think?
I think they need to
Hi, Gwen.
put
Hi,
on
Ali79.
the representative from the ACLU last and reiterate that Johnny Depp's name was intended to be in that op-ed, and the only reason it wasn't in that op-ed is because after it went through Amber Heard's legal team, because she signed an NDA, that it wasn't, and that there were many, many conversations between the ACLU and Amber Heard and her team on a way to make sure that people knew that it was about Johnny Depp without mentioning his name. The jury has, see, that's the thing. They got to hear the op-ed is the key to all of this. It's all about the op-ed. And so if I were Johnny Depp's team, what I would do is I would put him on last so that it is reiterated, and that's the last thing the jury heard, is that this was about Johnny Depp and it's lies. So if you put him on last, you put Dr. Curry on before him, and I think it's incredibly smart for them to have cut their case a little bit short and allow Amber Heard's case to take over, making sure that they've left themselves plenty of room and time to put on rebuttal witnesses. And that's going to be important too, because now they know Amber's presented her case in chief, right? They should be about done. I mean, you'd think. And
Actually, I kind of figured they were gonna rest at that point, but they haven't.
They haven't.
So I don't know what they have left. They better have something better than they did on Thursday.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The deposition testimonies are terrible.
Well, I thought there was some poignant moments in some of the deposition testimonies that I don't think a lot of people caught, because I watched and I didn't see a lot of people making comment over it.
It's just that it's boring.
It is boring.
It's boring, and everything I'm seeing from those reporting from the gallery is how bored the jury is. That a few are closing their eyes, that one kind of dozed off, that they're trying to shake themselves awake, and that they're just not, which is not good for Amber if they're not paying attention.
No, Amber's less.
Turned off.
Well, to be fair, I mean, some of those some of those depositions, they are actually not helpful to Amber. So it might be actually a good thing that they're on, not only is Johnny on the nod, but now the jury's on the nod too.
I was thinking the jury's thinking, no wonder this guy fell asleep all the time.
Correct. It's probably not pills, it's boredom and bullshit.
Well, but to your point though, they do miss things, and they do miss things in those depositions because they're tired. But then the things that they catch, for example, the Amber perjury from her own witness was a very big deal, and that's when the jurors were supposedly, from the people in the gallery, were supposedly like, wait a minute, what's this guy saying? What's happening here? So like her witness is saying that he's the one who turned her in for perjury.
Yep.
That's her witness,
as well as the tech expert testifying and reading and showing justice for Johnny Depp. Amber Heard is an abuser, and the sampling of people that support that hashtag. And
they called her Amber Turd in court twice.
That's on the record.
It is.
Amber Turd is on the record. That's one of the best things. That was one of my favorite
you don't think they're going to end up saying something about that just to refer to her as Amber Turd in the future?
Hang on, I'll be right back. It just started raining and I got to rescue some stuff from outside. Give me just a second. I'll be right back.
Johnny is a bit cray-cray too, in my opinion. I don't disagree that Johnny has his own issues and his own things, but I think that for somebody who's been a fan of his for a long time, you kind of know that he's very eccentric. He's very, he's had a major history with drugs and alcohol. And those things aren't necessarily kind of like very surprising. Mm-hmm. But then I wonder, like, it's kind of like, well, what came first, the chicken or the egg? So it's like the trauma causes the drug use, or the drug use causes trauma. So she's trying to say drug use causes trauma, causes the traumatic events that happen. And he's basically saying her traumatic events is what causes his spiraling downward and why he ends up going down these really dark paths.
Yeah, I mean, they're an absolute toxic relationship. That is just relationship toxicity 101. So he's not winning any awards on Husband of the Year. But when it comes down to the defamation and the physical and sexual violence, I have not been convinced at all that he has committed sexual assault or physical violence against her.
Right. But, they did push a lot at the beginning. Her team is pushing, like, what do you consider domestic violence? And I think that that's going to be a very big deal when, like, the jury instructions come out, because if they get to determine, if it's already determined for them, this is what constitutes domestic violence, then he may lose. If it's not determined and they get to kind of, go on their own experience and whatnot, it may be different. I don't know.
And I know that it was supposed to be public today, and I believe that they have agreed on jury instructions.
Yeah.
I haven't
seen them though. Are they going to be put out to the public? Because I haven't seen them. If they are, they may have been. I don't know.
They're supposed to be. There has been a lot of talk about Waldman's statements. His 3 statements will be allowed. Yes. So her
to basically be saying, in layman's terms, to basically say that those are Johnny Depp's statements, because he used his attorney as an agent to make those statements.
Yeah. And even though there's an argument to both sides, I think that after this much time invested in the trial, it would look prejudicial on the judge's part to dismiss that, going into the last week. And they also don't have to be present for the verdict. And I wonder if they will be. Johnny and Amber don't have to be there. Nope, they ruled that they do not have to be present when the verdict is read.
I think that Johnny will be there. If anybody, this is what I think will happen. I think Johnny will want to be there, because I don't think this for him was as much about actually winning in the court of law as it was about him winning in the court of public opinion. He needed that. He wants the public to know, his fans and Hollywood really, to know his story, because he was quiet about it. He honored the NDA, and she did not.
Absolutely. I just got excited to see a puppy.
Oh, the puppy.
Aunt Barb's asking for Ursa, so I always have to do how much bigger she is now than she was, because she's just ginormous. But she was sleeping next to me, so now she's like, "What are you doing? Why are you waking me up? I don't want to be awake."
I was taking a nap.
Yeah, I was taking a nap. She was out front playing, so.
Aww. So I think for him, it's going to be important for him to be there. And I will say this. I actually think that Amber's stubbornness and unwillingness and inability to ever admit that she's wrong or anything really other than I was abused, which is anyway, she will be there. If Johnny is there, she will be there.
Well, I don't think she can't be there. Like, if she wants to win in the court of public opinion, which is ultimately, regardless at the end of this, which is what's going to be what actually happens, regardless of any money or any,
Exactly.
no matter what anybody says, it's going to be about who's liked and who isn't when this is done.
Exactly.
If she doesn't even show up for the verdict, then she's going to have some real. She's
Yeah,
gonna have
they'll
even
both
bigger
be
issues.
though. They'll both be there.
And if she and if she's found liable and has to pay him, she better cry, like legit cry.
Yeah.
But she probably will, because it's about money and she's going to lose
She will
money.
cry for that, I think. And she
and then the
will,
jury's going to be like, see, yeah, those are real tears, and
yeah,
you're
see,
crying about the
we
money.
know,
You're not actually crying about.
we know what really, where it really hurts you. Your wallet is how to get to you.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about the money, because I thought
Okay.
that was a really big thing this week, where she kept the whole pledge versus donate bugged the crap
That
out of
she
me.
doesn't understand English. Pledge
we
and
talked about this on
donate.
Jen's channel last week too. Yeah, what's the difference between a pledge and a donation? Well, I use them synonymously.
Well, the rest of the world does not, and neither does the charity organization. You lying liar, mouth who tells lies. Sorry.
Salty C doesn't know why she pointed. She just wanted to point
Well,
at
in
us.
some states,
I need to put it on here because she's like, "Hey, heart you," right there. That goes right to me, Salty C.
In some
hi,
states,
Marshall.
pledge
So good
is
to see
legally
you.
binding.
Right, and then Max 2002 wants to know when the trial is over. So closing arguments are set for the 27th.
Yep, Friday.
And they each have 2 hours, and then it goes into the jury. So 307, Mrs. Troy. I love criminality. I'm so glad that you made a live.
Are we going to make bets on how long the jury deliberation will take?
Oh, we're going to have to. We're going to have not like legit bets, but like,
Yeah, because I'm going to have to hear the jury instructions before I like to make an educated bet. Mm-hmm. I don't just be betting willy-nilly. So
I don't want to be betting all willy-nilly. Be throwing stuff out there.
Well, listen, I actually I've been thinking about it, and my record for calling some stuff, as for a gal who is a stay-at-home mom and has a good enough diploma, I've called a ton of stuff right. I'm actually kind of proud of myself.
I have a stay-at-home diploma.
Good enough.
Hi,
good enough.
Paula.
Got my GED. Got my good enough diploma.
I got my good enough diploma. I'm not, civil's definitely not anything that I am overwhelmingly confident in my knowledge of, because there's so many like things that are just a little bit different that kind of throw me off, and I'm like, wait a minute. And so, like, we were talking about this, the whole hearsay thing, like that really kind of gets me, and I don't really know if it's even any different, or if they're just calling it so much that it's really like in the forefront of my mind. Hi, Misty Dawn. But the 13 months. So this was a really big deal to me. So it really irritated me that she didn't want to like act like she knew the difference between pledge and donation.
Right.
Because she absolutely does. And she wants to sit there now, act like she's uneducated, which she's not, and saying I use them, synonymously. They're not synonymous. They actually mean two totally different things, and you know that the definition is not synonymous. But they did ask that ACLU guy if he knew if Amber Heard understood the difference, or what she believed the difference between a pledge and a donation was. And he was like, yeah, I don't have a clue what she thinks or what she knows. But the fact that she sits there and they argue back and forth, I thought was really kind of silly. But
I just wanted them to ask, why did you not make payments to the ACLU as your payments were coming in? Because her whole point, she tried to make that the ACLU should not have to wait. It should not take a long time. This is everything she said about Johnny when she spewed that bullshit that made no sense as to why he could not pay them directly, where she said that he would have to pay $14 million instead
because of his tax bracket.
Yeah. And when either way, they'd be getting $7 million. I thought it was about the donation.
Right. So now Amber is H&R Block over here giving people
doesn't
tax
know the
advice.
difference between pledge and donate, so don't let her do your taxes.
Or don't take any financial advice from her. I mean, unless you have, Elon Musk waiting in the wings to write checks on your behalf, then maybe, okay, that might be something you'd want to look into. But any other financial advice, no. And then she said that, but this is the thing. She actually didn't get like a ton of payments. The way that it sounded to me was like she got a $200,000 payment. That was the initial payment. which Johnny actually sent to one of the
That's 100,000 each.
yeah, to each.
Mm-hmm.
And then she got a lump sum payment, which is why she kept reiterating 6.8 million. I got 6.8 million. It wasn't like payments. And she had that money for 13 months and then had the audacity to say, well, Johnny Depp sued me. Bitch, you got paid in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't sued until 2019, and you had a whole baby in that time. Stop playing with these people.
And that's when she did the op-ed. She did the op-ed after. So how does that even make sense?
That's what they're trying
doesn't.
to tie it into. They're trying to make it seem like she did all of this maliciously. That's what they're trying to prove.
Well,
but-
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
go
I'm
ahead.
just going to say, I'm not a lawyer, obviously, but I watch curious as to why they leave some things out, like why they didn't hammer home. They kept arguing over pledge and donation, but they didn't say, okay. She said, Camille mentioned the 13 months, but she didn't say, so tell us why 13 months ahead of time. She just kept arguing with her over the definition of pledge.
Because I don't think she cares about it as far as this case goes. Because remember, she brought it back to the UK trial, and in the UK, she testified under oath that she gave the entire donation, that she donated her her divorce settlement in its entirety. She used the word donate, and what Camille, I think, was actually doing had absolutely nothing to do with this case as much as it had to do with, hey, I hope you're paying attention over there across the pond. This bitch is just admitted to committing perjury.
Oh yeah, absolutely. She definitely perjured herself.
So I think that's what it was more about, and that's why she kept hammering that part of it home. But as far as, this is the other thing that I kind of already knew this, but I kind of wanted to make sure I was understanding correctly. So when they talk about malicious intent in this situation means something different than what we would consider being malicious. It basically is that she knowingly lied, and that's what it's going to come down to. And I think that I think they're going to have I think the sticking point, if I guess they do have the jury instructions done, but I think if there were any sticking point, it's going to be the definition of domestic violence, because there is a difference as far as criminal charges go between domestic violence and domestic abuse, and they're not synonymous. Because if you have a domestic violence charge, that means that you've used hands, feet, objects, something. You have caused bodily harm. Whereas abuse is more, can be many, many things, like verbal, obviously, emotional, mental, that kind of thing. But violence means physical. And I just don't see that Johnny Depp's attorneys are going to concede that it's okay to use the terms domestic abuse and domestic violence interchangeably, because they're not interchangeable synonymously either. That too. Yeah. Because one carries, and then I got asked in chat, I think the last time I went live, I think was Wednesday, and they were asking about like charges. And so I was thinking about it, and I think this for the domestic violence charges for both of them, Amber and Johnny Depp, the ones that occurred in the United States, I think the statute of limitations has expired on those, but I don't think that the SA allegation made by Amber that happened here in the United States has the statute of limitations has expired, and I don't know about Australia. But I did ask some of my Australian friends about it, and I feel like they said that Amber could face charges for the finger, and she definitely will face. They're really hoping she faces charges for the dogs too.
I was going to say they have talked about the fact that they may bring those charges, back from Australia and the dogs. Marshall says all her answers, even if a lie, she just will say that it's true. Like for some reason, her view in her mind is true, and she's saying true, even if Camille thinks and says it differently and opposite. Yes, she absolutely thinks whatever she's saying is true. And the weirder part is she actually thinks that everybody's going to believe her because she said it out loud.
Right.
I'm
Even
like,
when she's shown evidence to the contrary, she will double down, triple down, quadruple down, whatever is that. What's after, what's 5?
Quinn said sold down. I have no idea.
Yeah, something quin down,
Yeah, she'll
quintuple.
quinn something down.
She's like she's the worst poker player ever. She goes all in every hand. And she
that's what
doesn't she thinks she's playing Go Fish or something. I don't know. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Like literally,
She
Camille
would not
would
be very good at poker.
showing her no, like you could tell Camille wants to say puta, but she doesn't. And I'm proud of her for not using that word. But I would, no, just kidding. If I was making Camille's money, I would be able to use proper language too. But you know, Camille's like, are you blind? I mean, I'm showing you right here. This what yo ass has said. But what she really caught her, and you could see it, although you could see it in the deposition, but not so much when it was played back, is when she admitted that TMZ had been alerted. And she put her hands. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But then when the camera went back live to her face, it was like stone.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was the oh shit.
Speaking of faces, I really love what the behavioral panel did, but here's my only question for them. This is the only thing I want to know. How can you say anything about the furrowing of any eyebrow? This bitch is Botoxed up.
So did you see the clip where her doctor, her psychiatrist is actually talking about like she came in with the bruises and stuff, and Johnny tells his attorney, he actually tells his attorney, you can see it in his lips. He's saying like those bruises right there are from Botox.
Yes,
he says it to his attorney like those are Botox bruises. Yeah, I want Barb. Yeah, so she brought her dogs, the Yorkies. She didn't bring them. She didn't declare them in customs. So they were brought into Australia illegally, and then she was going to face charges. No, she did not abuse them, but there are some videos of her not being extremely nice to dogs. But
she calls one of them a terrorist.
Yeah, it's kind of extreme. I don't know.
And that dog is no longer living at the herd home. Nobody knows what happened to that dog. It wasn't he or she was on Instagram. She made a little video, and the puppy was doing what puppies do. They pull on stuff. And I think he or she either had like a blanket or something, and she's filming the dog, calling him or her a little terrorist, rather than putting her phone down and taking whatever it was that she didn't. How else are dogs supposed to learn?
Yeah,
not by filming them, you freaking weirdo. Like, you just can't shame them into behaving. It doesn't work like that. You got to do some kind of intervention, like taking it away.
Weirdo. Yeah, no, just record them. That'll stop the behavior.
Yeah. So then later on, when they're a little older, you can say, look what a little shit you were. I mean, come on. What, like Johnny, is that just what you do? You just keep video evidence of people in their most not so great moments so you can throw it in their face later. You can shame the shit out of she loves to shame a dog. She called Boo chunky.
Yeah, poor little dog. He was like 5 pounds instead of 4.
Right. Johnny's dog.
And then there's also the video of her holding the dog out the window.
Yes, there is.
Which is what she says he did.
Yes.
But there's video of her doing it.
Correct. Howling. He's howling. Like he's out of his freaking mind. He's probably just, look, dogs like to put their head out the window when they're in a moving vehicle. And he was probably right there just joking along. I mean, come on, Amber, take the stick out of your butt.
I don't think she can.
It's got to be painful at this point.
Okay, so Marshall, you said, I feel like Rocky was believable and the photos were possibly more believable than I expected, although I barely was listening. Did y'all? Okay, so I'll let these guys go first. You guys go first on what you thought.
I feel like Rocky had one of the last quaaludes left on Earth for her entire testimony.
She's like
the worst.
She was very sedated.
It's the weirdest thing.
But then
these depositions must have been very informal though, because half the guys are vaping and they're just all hanging out and they're just like, yeah, we're chilling, you know. I don't know. I'm surprised somebody didn't actually just do a line right there.
Right. But then like she's super sedated and almost, it's weird because she vacillates between being sedated and she has that air of you're bothering me at work. Like, why are you I'm not even here for this. Why are you even talking to me? But you're there for a deposition, right? And then she gets to certain points, the abuse and her photography, right? And then all of a sudden she can remember everything. She's quick with her yeses and her nos and who did what and was where. And then they do the follow-up questions and she's like, yes. And I'm just like, girl.
I see. I have more issues with Rocky. I think that Rocky is absolutely lying, and she's so far into this that she can't tell the truth. Otherwise, she's going to get in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. She's hey, hope for peace. She's locked in to her answers now. I mean, look, she's not a dummy. Like she knows she knows these depositions are under oath. She knows she's giving testimony under penalty of perjury. So she has to stick with her story.
Right. Well, she's like, is that what I testified to? Is that what I said? Okay, yeah, then that's what it was. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly how I remember it.
That's what I did. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sounds right to me.
Yes.
Isn't it interesting that she's claiming that they aren't friends anymore?
Do you think they are friends?
Between one, people with histrionic and borderline personality are known to not have lasting relationships. So it would not surprise me that the people that lived off of Johnny Depp and in his penthouse, the vampires, the Hollywood vampires, could not feed off of him anymore. And so they all departed. And the other part goes, maybe she's trying to make her testimony seem more believable by claiming that they aren't friends anymore. But Io said the same thing. What did you think
about her weird answer of like, we're not friends anymore because I wanted to put more time into like other friendships or something weird?
It seemed like a avoid the real answer kind of answer.
Correct. See, the thing about it is,
because she beat me.
Well, yeah, she beat me. Or listen,
well, she did hit Rocky.
Amber's not like a fun kind of gal. She's not a nice person. Like she's not a good time. Okay. But if you have, but they're palling around with Johnny Depp with his money rather than, it wasn't so much about him, but about his money. And so Amber Heard can be quite a bit more interesting and even tolerable when there's good alcohol and good drugs. And I'm just going to call a spade a spade. But when that goes away, and she can't afford to keep her friends in the lifestyle to which they've become accustomed to, their tolerance for her bullshit goes down significantly. And I actually think that that's really what Rocky meant by, I wanted to spend time with other friendships.
Yeah.
More like, I couldn't tolerate this bitch no more for free.
Well, the makeup artist, Iglesias, or what was her first name? Melanie?
Yeah.
I think it's Melanie. They asked why she wasn't friends with her anymore. And she said, because being friends with her was like all consuming.
Yeah. It's all about her all the time.
I just don't see how most of her witnesses were a positive for her.
They weren't.
And she couldn't get anybody to show up. Her sister showed up, but she's her sister.
Oh God.
Johnny had people appear in person.
And her sister showed up. Listen.
Well, I think a lot of the depositions happened because if you guys remember, this was actually supposed to be going to court, during the big C word. Mm-hmm. And so I think what happened was they were actually set to depose all these people because they weren't going to be in court. But then courts all opened, and so now you got half these people deposed and half of them are not deposed.
Yeah, but at the same time,
why not just have them all show up anyways? What I didn't understand.
Nurse Debbie, that she was straight asked, and they played that part of her deposition in court, if she would come and testify, and she basically said, hell no.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't want no part of it.
She wouldn't have a choice.
Virginia can't compel.
Yeah, that's why.
Oh, it's in Virginia.
Yeah, yes, Virginia can't make you come.
And you can't compel. You can't. That's why it's better for Johnny that people flew there.
Yeah.
And they're there, and they appeared. Some of them appeared in person for him.
Yep.
And she has to rely on video deposition, where all the objections are edited out, and they wouldn't show up. I guess because Johnny can't pay for it or won't pay for it. For
Oh,
her
that's
Whitney
actually another
Spears.
really good point too. Is they're not going to pay for these people to travel out there.
Mhm.
Allie79 thinks that IO is still friends with her too. I have a lot of issues with IO too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's a giant liar.
Mhm. Mhm.
Well, I feel like
So much went down on Twitter. So many Amber and her friends
mhm.
in the big Twitter war, and a lot of those tweets are gone. And that's why there are a few YouTube streams that have all this stuff throughout the UK trial that I watched that I found interesting. And we're not hearing a lot of that now. You know, and IO was part of that. And so was Rocky. And I forget the other girl's name. The one that was kicked out.
Elizabeth, Liz,
No, Eve.
Eve. Yep.
Eve.
Eve.
Eve. Yep. Yep.
Who's Liz then? Why did I say that name?
I think
Hi,
you just
ATS.
I think you might have just made it up in your head.
Maybe. But that's
Maybe
why
you're thinking
I
of
don't know.
Lizzie
I don't know where that came
Borden.
from.
I hope they get the impeachment testimony of Whitney.
So there is, yeah. So
They
let's
are.
talk
They're-
about Whitney.
Okay, they're supposed to.
I hope.
So allegedly, according to my sources, YouTube, and maybe some Twitters, they are going to put the employer on the stand, or at least introduce her declaration. It is
Oh, I
supposed to
freaking
come
hope
out.
so.
It is supposed to come out. In fact, I think there was some argument about it, and I guess now it's going to come out. It needs to come out. And how come Whitney, like, I know
I know Orleans lady.
that they don't have, like, couldn't Whitley have showered for her big debut on the stand? I mean, she looked like she rolled out of bed, threw her hair up in a some kind of fucked off French braid, and she just showed up, disheveled.
Does she not look like Hermione to anybody else?
She does a little
Granger?
bit.
She does look a
that.
little like Hermione. Yeah, there were some points when she was testifying where I was expecting for her to bust out with "Aloha Morum" or something, but she
Yeah,
didn't.
I was like, dude,
which
is
would
that
have made her
Hermione? Like, it
far
really
more
was
interesting.
mind blowing to me because I was like, I swear that's Hermione. It looked just like her.
It would have made her far more interesting if she did that.
But she just looked. She looked like she didn't want to be there. Well, I mean, I don't know if any of them want to be there. So I mean, but she just looked like, I'm doing what I have to do, and I'm just like, I'm gonna be done with this.
Like her mom bugged her to do it, made her do it. You got to be there for your sister.
Well, I hope
You
it
know
wasn't
how-
her mom.
Well, you know what I mean. Her parent.
Yeah.
Sorry, Amber Heard's
Yeah.
mom. Rest in peace.
Paige.
But you know,
Well, what I
her
thought.
mom could have made her from the grave. You don't know.
Oh man.
So
But if
Lupe,
you notice,
brings up, like, her sister is the only one that's actually testified to saying that JD did hit her. Well, then this is why the impeachment testimony would be
Mhm.
extremely important, because she tells her best friend at the time that she thought Amber was going to kill him.
Yep.
And that she's the one that actually was pushed down the stairs by Amber during that fight. So yeah, I don't know if Amber Heard, what Kate Moss flashback Amber Heard was having, if she was the one doing the chunking people down the stairs.
Well, they're supposed to call in Kate Moss.
I hope that they do.
Are they going to call in Kate Moss, you think?
They have to now.
I've heard rumors, and they were not supposed to discuss previous charges and relationships. And Scamber Turd opened that door when she got a little saucy. So now they can. So she opened the door, and now I hope they bring in Kate Moss. And I've seen rumors that she's willing to.
I'd like for them to bring in her ex-wife as well. The one that she's accused of hitting as well. Like there were at the airport, and there's another situation too. That's Amber's the one that opened that door. See, all they were ever supposed to be able to talk about is that they had previous relationships. So like they could, like they could refer to Vanessa, right, by name, and that she's, Johnny Depp's long-term partner and the mother of his children, but nothing about their actual relationship. And it was supposed to work both ways. but then Amber had to get, extra as she does. And all I could think about was Kate Moss. Girl, bye. How are you thinking about Kate Moss when you didn't even know that his tattoo read "Wino Forever"? We've all seen that tattoo.
She literally testifies that she didn't know anything about him from before. Like she had heard his name and stuff, but like she didn't know anything about him. And then she's like, oh, that was the story that I had heard about Kate Moss.
Right. And I also want to correct one other thing that she said that was annoying to me. I am from Texas and I know where she's from. Okay. And it's not all like, guns and cowboys. All right. Because when she was on that, James Corbin show, and she's like, we don't learn dancing in Texas. That's bullshit. Texas has actually some really good dance schools and some really good art schools too. Like there's culture in Texas. Stop it.
But wasn't she around Austin?
Yeah.
So how could she say
right outside of Austin?
That's my point.
Thank you for coming.
Austin is, of all the cities in Texas, Austin has always been the most cultural. That's always had the art and stuff like. But so does Dallas.
Isn't Austin California now?
Well, that's what they say. I don't feel like it is. Austin's always been kind of a chiller. For it being the capital, it's always been more chill. I mean, that's why the saying is "keep Austin weird," because it's always.
I've never heard that saying.
It is, yeah, because it's got like an eclectic, like it's weird. It's weird in a way that's like bougie, but not. You know what I'm saying? Like it's got like these little hole in the wall restaurants and stuff like that, and it's just real eclectic in downtown Austin. But then it's got some like really high end bougie shit. You know what I'm saying? So that's what the saying for Austin is: keep Austin weird, keep it eclectic like that. Okay. I love Austin.
I've never been.
I'm proud of. Well, yeah. I mean, I wasn't born in Texas, but I spent more time there. I moved when I was 10. I left when I was almost 40. So I might as well be. I'm an honorary Texan. I know the true motto, and it ain't
Oregon
the friendly
says
state.
Keep Portland weird as well. Huh. Hi, Chloe Joe.
Look, I'm a weirdo and I love weirdos. So any town that wants to be weird, they get my vote.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Why be normal? It's boring. I mean, I want to be weird in a way that's enjoyable to others, not weird in a way where I need like a warning label and a self-hugging jacket.
Yeah, there's good weird and bad weird.
Correct.
Okay, so let's talk about Whitney with her sister throws her under the bus with the tampon applicator.
Oh man. And her sister testified that she was hardly ever sober during that time.
Her sister said that. I about died when Whitney said, what did she say? Oh, it was one of the rare occasions where I was actually sober. I was like, nobody can take your testimony seriously. Did you do that on purpose?
Oh, maybe. She may have. I mean, they pared her testimony down. She was not on the stand that long. And it makes me wonder what was going on behind the scenes, that everything that she had initially submitted and everything from UK, what was she on there for 31 minutes or something? Was she on the stand?
It was
they cut a lot out, and I think it's
because
they want to know, they're worried about what she can be caught on.
I feel like for Whitley, the thing is that being a sister's a weird kind of thing. You don't want to, like, you can say what you want about your sister, but nobody else better. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't seem to me that they had that kind of relationship. And it's like the way that Amber tells the story about, that she supported her family and, even she had Whitley move out there and whatnot. To me, it felt like she didn't have Whitley move out there because she wanted her sister out there. I think she was like her employee. Mm-hmm. She ran errands for her. She took care. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't like Whitley had her own life out there and that it was just for her. It was to be there for Amber. And they don't seem that close. And I think that I don't think that she wanted to testify because I think she actually liked Johnny Depp, to be honest with you.
I think so too.
And hey, Kez Chick, and I don't think she wanted to talk badly about him.
And I think everybody in Amber's life walks on
Parker.
eggshells around her. And I think that most of the people in her immediate circle are afraid of her, that she'll blow up. She's the friend that you constantly have to support, constantly have to reassure, constantly have to talk off the ledge. And there's just always drama.
I
I
feel
don't
like
have friends like
she would be
that.
a very one-sided friend. You don't hear a lot
Yeah.
of these like, well, she was there for me. She did this for me. She
Mhm.
helped me with this. Like when Johnny's friends
That's
were up
all
there,
you
it
hear
was a
about?
lot of like, Johnny was this and Johnny was that, and he helped me through this, and he's the one who helped me get that, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You don't hear any of that from anybody that was ever. You're hearing people say, I couldn't be friends with her anymore because it was all consuming.
Right. And anything that she did for them was actually through Johnny. This is another thing that I want to bring up before I forget, because you know how my brain works.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I've been thinking about this, right? So
Okay.
so if you listen to Amber's version, right? Johnny Depp is an absolute monster. And depending on which substances he's on or combination of substances, you get a different variation of the monster, but it's always a monster and it's never good, right? So if you look at domestic violence, not abuse, violence, well, abuse, violence, right? Domestic abuse and domestic violence. If you look at patterns in the behavior of the person who's doing the committing the violence and being the abuser, right? The first thing that when you look back at the relationship, the victim will always say, I started not being able to have friends. I had to, I had to make more and more time for this person. And only he or she only wanted it to be him and I or her and I. Right. So what doesn't make sense to me. Almost immediately when Amber and Johnny were able to become a public item, right? He is surrounded by her friends. So
Right.
where's the isolating? Then if you think, and then if you really think about it and you really break it down and you listen to who witnessed all of these alleged incidents, there's really only 3 people, but who are they friends with? Amber. So you're telling me that this man who's been in Hollywood forever, kind of knows the game, all of the sudden starts showing his entire ass around like a new group of friends, new people. He starts acting a fool in front of new people, but none of his old friends will say that about him. You know what I mean?
Nope.
It just doesn't
And
make
his friends have been his friends
sense.
for a very long time.
And the friends that have testified said that they stopped seeing him as much when Amber came in the picture.
Yep.
Well, and if you notice, who all moved in around him? It wasn't his friends, and besides
No.
Isaac. Isaac is the only one that moved in that had anything to do with him prior to meeting Amber.
Yeah, but
And
he was like left to his own devices. As they weren't Isaac wasn't up in Johnny Depp and Amber's business the way that
No.
Rocky, her husband, Io were.
Right. And then I have a question, and maybe you guys know, the Hicksville trip, was that not for Johnny's birthday? Or was that for her birthday?
Oh shit. All I can remember was let's go to Hicksville and take happy drugs. Which
Because it was all
again,
her friends, though. None of them,
right.
they weren't his friends. Again,
No.
they were her. It was her.
And
Oh,
that's
HSU said it was her birthday. Okay, so then maybe it makes sense that they were her friends. But
okay, but
still,
then
none of his friends are there, like ever.
It was in May. It was in May of 2013.
so yeah, it
Okay,
would have
well,
been
his
for
birthday's
her
in what? His birthday's in
June.
June. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
maybe
So
a
it could've been maybe
combination
for-
of both of them, because hers
Maybe.
is in April, right? So maybe they were going to do like a joint. But regardless, his friends weren't there.
Right, that his friends weren't there. So even if they're going with all their friends, no, they didn't go with all their friends. They went with all her friends.
Right. Exactly. And
And
that's
then
the other thing.
and everybody everybody says that the trailer that they were in was trashed, but nobody says who trashed it.
No, they don't. And then the other
Nobody
thing
ever sees anything getting trashed.
no, exactly.
Nobody
They only ever hear that. They only ever see the aftermath. And shockingly, Johnny Depp is nowhere around, and so the only person that can tell the story is dun 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 Amber Heard.
Well, and that's the person they all talk to regularly because they're her friend, not his.
Correct. But then more to the point is this. Amber said almost from the very beginning, by 2013, she knew about the monster, right? So
Right.
what you're telling me is you've now decided that the monster, look, you're comparing Johnny Depp to Bruce Banner and the Hulk. All right. So what do? You provide the Hulk with the thing that makes him Hulk out, drugs and or alcohol.
Right.
And then you want to talk about, I couldn't understand when he was in Hicksville. I couldn't understand what he's saying. I couldn't understand what he's saying. Could that have something to do with the fact that you just popped some mushrooms?
But also, if you remember, the other people are testifying that when he was sober, he would actually mumble a little bit more, and then he became more loud and boisterous, and you could actually, like, he was like more the life of the party when he was under the influence of whatever substance that he was.
Probably because he's got a hell of a lot of social anxiety.
Right, but that's my point, though. So then there's a point where he becomes so intoxicated that now he's back to the mumbling again. But you said when he was sober, he mumbled. So really, how do you know?
Right, and then you have an opportunity now, because
I'm missing all kinds of comments. Sorry, you guys. Paula, are you leaving? I hear 7 a.m. comes early. Blessings, all 7 a.m. comes early. Okay, bye, Paula.
It does. Good night, Paula. Then you have him saying. Then you have her talking about now I totally lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry. See, I knew I was going to do that. I apologize.
It's my fault. No, it's me. Because I had it. It was about, I got distracted by drugs.
You're like, I wonder which ones you were talking about that he had just done shrooms.
Right. There was something else about that. It'll come back to me. It'll come back to me.
Well, I want to go back up. Parker said something about the ring. Have you guys watched the clip where she takes her ring off and puts it in her pocket?
No.
So, Missy, have you seen that?
That's one I haven't seen.
Okay, I'm going to find it. So she does. She takes her ring off and puts it in her pocket during. I don't remember who was testifying at the time, but she's over at the attorney's table, and then she does. She takes it off and puts it in her pocket. And it was a really weird thing. I don't know if it was just because she was uncomfortable, but I'll find the clip and show you guys. And then I think he didn't want to marry her. He was concerned about the age difference. Currently, I agree with you 100%. He did not want to marry her. That's why in the recordings you hear her saying, "I worked so hard to make this happen."
Oh, I know what I was going to say. The recordings. Okay. So let's get to those. All right. Okay. You can tell who's because I know that the majority of the recordings are made by her, but there are a couple that are his. Right. But the one where they're talking about the fight that happened where she was allegedly SA'd. This was on the island. Okay. Yeah. And what does Amber Heard do? Doesn't confront him about the SA that just took place the night before. Oh, no. Let's address the fact that you spilt wine on me 3 times. Exactly. Why don't you just move chairs, ho? What's wrong with you? Exactly. See, and this is why.
Get out the way.
Get up. Move, bitch. This is why I get irritated with Amber. And this is why I don't believe her story. Because Johnny is unaware that he is being recorded in the majority of these. And so when he is admitting to things, it's because he doesn't know he's being recorded. But when you hear the exchange about that freaking bathroom, that's the one that has me outraged, I think, the most, because it makes no sense. The door, she's standing on the other side of the door that leads from the bedroom into the bathroom. All doors work the same way unless they're sliders. They all open up into the room. So if she's trying to keep Johnny Depp from coming out of the bathroom and into the bedroom, she should be pulling, not pushing. Pushing means you're trying to get in, dum-dum, Amber. Maybe you should learn how doors work. Anyway, they're arguing about it. And he tries to talk about the swings that she took at him and the punches that she landed. Mm-hmm. And she said repeatedly, "I'm not going to discuss that. I'm not going to discuss that." And then when she's asked about it, because Johnny Depp has a one-track mind and he will argue, basically what she was saying is he'll argue what the meaning of is. No, bitch, that's you.
Yeah,
You
you're the
don't
one
wanna
arguing
make
about
it
what the meaning of flipping words are and calling things synonymous. Synonymous that are definitely not. Okay,
correct.
hold on. ATS News. I don't know if she's still in here, but I'm gonna borrow your video real quick. I'll put your link in the description too, because she has the ring up. So I'm gonna
Okay, good.
put that on so you guys
All
can
right.
see it. Let me get rid of this background. Christine always does all this fun stuff for me, so I don't have to do all this by myself. Let me see. Okay.
Oh, this is when she's wearing the Kim Jong-un outfit.
Yeah.
Oh, look, there was no, never mind. Maybe I won't say it.
Okay.
Couldn't have been a worse joke than the one I just made. I
Okay,
literally compared her to the leader of North Korea.
Let me know if you guys can't hear it for whatever reason, okay?
Okay.
Take the comment down, babe.
Oh, shoot. Okay, hold on. You want me to do too many things at the same time. I'm not good at that.
All
There we
right.
go.
There you go.
Can you guys not see it now?
No, it's black.
Shit.
It's all right. Just start it over.
How about now?
Yeah, we're fine.
Okay. There's only a little couple passive aggressive comments thrown in here by ATS
I love
News.
it.
I absolutely loved it too.
I'm not going to be able to move past that jacket. Sorry, Amber.
It's terrible.
It's the worst. Or that piece of hair. Look, Donna Martin called and she wants her French twist back.
Martin. I like that they're like in her head, like this is what she's thinking the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
She tries so hard to look unbothered. You're very bothered.
She just looks
her looking unbothered. She looks bothered.
She's so bothered. Like if she were any more pressed, she'd be flat Stanley. I'm sorry.
This just makes me very aware of my own resting bitch face because I definitely have one. But
I have one too, and I don't care.
But I
That's
think
what it is.
I don't think it's a resting face.
Yeah, right there. See, she takes it off and puts it in her pocket.
Maybe that's her snuff ring.
Wasn't that weird?
Yes.
I'm gonna let the rest of this play just because it's a good video.
Why the fuck would she do that?
That is weird.
It doesn't make sense.
You know what clip is needed right there? That clip from Ted where Mark Wahlberg says, why the fuck would he say that? That's what you need.
Why the fuck would she do that?
Why the fuck would she do that?
Oh, the jacket is the worst.
The jacket is terrible.
So is her. Why does she have Stegosaurus braids on the back of her head?
The joke that I saw that cracked me up is someone had said a majority of the jury is Asian, and they said it wasn't wise for her to dress as a dictator in court because she was already not connecting with the jury as it is, and that when you see her doing her testimony, she was appealing to the two women who were sitting in the top right of the jury box. The back row, top right, are two women, and they would not make eye contact with her. And apparently, they won't. They look down. And so when she was trying to cry to them, and they wouldn't look up at her, she started looking at a man who was sitting in the front row in the center because he was the only one that would look at her, and that's what she's making a big performance for.
That's so odd.
Well, her eye contact with the jury is odd anyway. Normally, like the attorneys will say, okay, can you tell the jury this story, or tell them, what happened here or whatever. And then you look at the jury and you tell them whatever, but you don't look at the jury when at every single answer. And then she's like checking out, like she's not just like looking over at them. She's like looking from each person, like to make eye contact.
Yeah. But it's not, it's eye contact like a velociraptor would make eye contact before it goes in for the attack. It's not like I'm trying to get you to see the humanity in me. It's like, which one of you can I pick off first? That's what her eye contact, it's not.
Are you believing everything I'm saying? Because you need to be looking to my eyes and I'm going to tell you.
Right. Yeah. And what's sad about it is really, she shouldn't be focused. She should sort of be looking past the jury. That would be the ideal thing to do, because if the majority of them are men and there's only 2 women, right? If you stare at the women are far more critical of other women. Just girls, that's just women in general, right? But then if you ignore the women and you only focus on the men, then you're going to piss the women off too. There's no pleasing women a lot of times, and that's just the truth. Okay. And so the best thing to do would be to look past them, so it makes it appear as if you're trying to connect with them, but you're not like alienating people. And maybe also, again, don't wear the dictator's outfit.
That's actually a very interesting point. I didn't even think of that. I mean, it looked terrible to begin with, but I didn't even think about that. And also, there's only 3 women on the jury. So the jury, it consists of 9 people total because it's civil. And then 2 of them will be alternates.
Do you have the jury diagram I sent you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's 6 men and 3 women currently that are listening to this. And I don't know how she's going to choose, if it's going to be a random or how that's going to work for the alternates, but.
And they're all
those women may not even be in there, but I'm thinking, like, as the majority of these guys are men, they're probably going like, how the, like, I don't know if you guys ever listened to the recording from Australia where Jerry Judge is talking. Jerry Judge has passed away, so he didn't testify, obviously. But he's like, Dr. Kipper and Jerry Judge are both like, I don't know how anybody puts up with this.
Oh my God. Did you listen to that all the recording from Australia? The hidden recording?
Yeah.
She admits it. She sounds totally bananas when right after it happens. And the audio not only proves that she lied about the incident taking place over 3 days, but about her entire testimony as to what happened. You hear it. And in the recording, you can hear her walking around. She's not in bare feet. And if the bottoms of her feet were cut up, then I give her a lot of props for walking around in heels with cuts all over.
Yeah, because you can hear her stomping around the house, throwing her temper tantrum because she's pissed. Like, I'm not leaving. Okay, I'll leave. No, I'm not leaving. Okay, I'll leave.
And she's eavesdropping on that, because you hear Jerry Judge talk about.
Well, that's why she sets it up, I think, too, is because she wants to hear what they're saying about her so she can go and do other things. And she's going to sit there and listen to what they talked about.
Exactly. And when he starts, as soon as he's whispering, Jerry Judge is whispering about the cocaine, that she was doing a lot of cocaine. She comes in and goes, I found some empty bags of coke. He was doing a lot of coke, like right on cue, because she was listening. It was wild.
Well, that's because this goes back to my original point, that she is displaying the classic behaviors of an abuser, where the isolating the victim away from friends and family. And you'll notice that Johnny Depp's detox went a hell of a lot smoother when she wasn't in control of it.
Well, I don't think that she wanted him to detox.
No, of course she didn't. But she
wanted him just to do the things that she was doing when she was doing it.
Exactly.
Like, in that recording, she's like, I think all I did was like some Adderall and some Xanax and some and she's like naming like all these pills that she was popping.
What? She takes Provigil and Adderall. She is hype. I mean, wow.
I mean,
And then to do cocaine on top of it?
she's just asking for heart issues later on down the road.
Right.
But
And Nikki Oliver, I absolutely agree. That is her writing. The Carly Simon reference
oh
is her
yes,
writing. And I love when Camille made the Carly Simon,
like
In
you're
the
so vain.
journal,
she made a
you could do a
she made the
handwritten
comment to her. She's like,
comparison.
I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you're talking about.
You gotta do a handwriting comparison in the journal.
You can see in the
You
journals
can
that
see
when she printed, it is literally
Mhm.
her handwriting.
Yeah.
I don't think you even needed analysis of that. And the fact that, once again, I know that I've said this probably on Jen's live, the fact that she took pictures of the mirrors,
Yes.
but did not take pictures of her injuries when she had just been through the worst assault of all the assaults to that point, to that date, and there's not a
Right.
single picture of any of it.
Right. And then this is my point with okay, so she talks about the injuries to her body after that assault. And this is another point that I have to make. Okay. If you listen to, and this is where Camille was really trying to pin her down, pardon the pun, about how the events, what order they took place in, because the sequence does matter. And the best I can piece together is that the SA came after the bottle smash, after all the smashing. So let's think about all the smashing that took place and what was on that bar when all of this would have been said to have occurred, right? At the very least, the way that she describes her body as being, she would have had tears to the back of her clothing from the glass and the friction of the movement of fighting and what was happening, right? If you're believing what she's saying, tears to the back of her torso, on her clothing, whatever she was wearing, a shirt, a nightgown, whatever the hell it was, right? That's at the very least. And you have to figure that if it was able to tear the clothing and the movement kept going, then she would have also had cuts on her back. Yet the cuts are only on her arms, Ezra, in a place where it would be convenient for her to reach them, Ezra. You know what I'm saying? And this is the thing. People get like, I listened to her testimony. I refuse to play it on my channel, though. I will not play it, but I did listen to it. And what I can tell you is that if you take all of the emotion out of it, because the story on its face is horrendous, but if you take your emotion out of it and you picture the scene as she is describing it, and then the events that she is describing happening, and you take that in comparison to the injuries that she claims she sustained versus the injuries as the pictures show, which is just some scratches to the back of her arms, which by the way are very straight, and you can make a straight cut with glass if you're the person holding the glass. But if glass is cutting you, you have no control over that.
Well, no, and it would have been shards of glass. Not all those pieces of glass are laying in the exact same direction.
Correct. So that she would have at least had some puncture wounds. Ask Chazzle Dazzle about that. Maybe you should have looked up some stuff. At least Chazzle Dazzle gave it an effort, right? I mean, he had the one puncture hole at the bottom of his foot from the fireplace and was so very concerned about it getting infected. Showed it. He's such a weirdo. But you know what I'm saying? And then the details that she remembers versus the details that she doesn't. I don't remember whether I was shoved or whether I was thrown. But I do remember that the duvet cover had tiny little lilac flowers. Like, it's weird. It's weird. It doesn't make sense.
But that's what drove me crazy over her testimony, was that she described this absolute horror show of a brutal assault.
Right.
And as a woman, you want to connect. You don't want to feel, oh, this lying bitch. I don't want to feel that way. I wanted to hear all of the evidence and the testimony.
Same.
And all it made was make me angry. Because
yes.
everything she described, and then you go, oh, look at this little bruise. I'm clear too. I look like I'm covered in bruises on my legs just from walking around.
I trip over air. I have at least 3 to 4 bruises somewhere on my body at any given time.
Exactly.
I was looking at somebody had created like a collage of like famous people who actually were, victims of domestic violence. One was like Rihanna, another one, Nicole Brown Simpson,
Mhm.
and just the pure devastation of how these women look like they
Yep.
were,
There's no question about whether or not the photographs taken. I'll get this the most recent one because I can't remember what Rihanna's look like, but I'll never forget
it's
Nicole Brown
terrible.
Simpson.
It's terrible.
Oh,
They're both terrible.
I don't. They're terrible, but that's the one I can remember the most vividly in my
Mhm.
brain because for whatever reason I just do. Probably because I read what's her name's book. But anyway, there's nobody in there. Nobody can look at those photographs and would ever even consider that they're not real.
Right.
Do you know the
Not
bruising
there's
is
no question about it.
exactly. Nobody is like. At no point have I ever zoomed in on Nicole Brown Simpson's eyelashes to see if they were clumped up. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
And so my point is, so like Nikki Oliver was talking about, like being an RN, like she would have required medical attention. So even if there wasn't medical attention, like, she doesn't want to tell, sexual abuse and domestic violence, there's a lot of women who don't want to tell that story, especially somebody who's, a star, and then there's going to be all this attention and stuff. But my
Right.
issue with that is there's a doctor and a nurse who are physically there.
Correct.
Exactly.
They're seeing it. So it's not like she had to leave the premises to go get the medical attention. They're right there. They
She's
would have
also a Hollywood
given her medical attention, whether she wanted it or not, or whether she wanted to tell anybody or not. They would have been like, holy crap,
Exactly.
he beat the crap out of her and we need to do something about it. Like one of those recordings would have said, like, she is a disaster, like her face is bloody, her
Exactly.
her clothes are torn. You don't hear anything.
You
Especially
hear them
because
Nothing like that.
Johnny. You hear them concerned. He's going to get infection. He's going to get infection. We've really got to get him medical attention. She's fine. She's not the priority. She's going to sleep. That's all you hear.
and those recordings were being recorded and weren't aware that they were being recorded, correct?
Right, correct.
Mhm.
And so, and I get like those were like Johnny's team, so of course they're more concerned about him, but
The doctor that's the doctor would
was
have been
right.
yeah, doctors
Yes,
are
the
doctors.
doctor and the nurse was on. He was theirs. He was their doctor, and he's not. There's no concern for anything physically being wrong with her.
No, it's all her mental. Like they just wanted her to calm the fuck down.
Right.
But that's what gets me is she makes appearances. She's a Hollywood actress. She's in an industry of fixers and yes men. And she didn't have to see a plastic surgeon. She didn't have to have any scar repair. She didn't have to see a dentist to have, her teeth fixed, whatever, getting smashed in the face. I don't know if anybody here has ever been hit or hit someone else with brass knuckles in their fist, but that's essentially what he did with all of his rings on. And oh, it didn't hurt. I was just embarrassed. It didn't hurt. What? What? It would have
That's the
torn
other
your
thing.
mouth. It would have broken your teeth.
That's another part of the disconnect in her testimony for me. So where you and I would end a sentence, our punctuation would be either a period or a question mark or an exclamation point. Amber ends every time she testifies, with the exception of one time, one incident. She always ends after she describes what happened and what injuries she sustained. She almost always either ends it with, "It didn't hurt me physically,"
Yeah.
or it's somewhere in the middle. It didn't hurt me physically. It's like and then, which is interesting to me because when she's arguing with Johnny Depp in one of the audio recordings, she straight calls him a big baby. I did not punch you. You're a big baby. Look what happened to my toe. Well, your toe wouldn't have been in the way if you weren't trying to bust in a door, ma'am.
Right.
Why are
And then
you
she,
trying?
and then she hit him. So she busts in the door and then she hits him. But she says,
Correct.
"I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit you with the door." So he literally says, "So you didn't mean to hit me with the door, but you meant to punch me?"
And then that's when she says, "I'm not going to get into those details, or I'm not going to discuss it," because her ass knows she can't. She's very keenly aware of when obviously she to be. She's the one recording it, and she doesn't want to make any admissions on tape, for lack of a better word, because it's not actual tape. But Johnny Depp, on the other hand, who is, for the most part, not aware that he's being recorded, says whatever, says the truth of what happened. And I don't hear gaslighting from him the way that she talks about. And I feel like that term is overused and used incorrectly frequently. However, what I will say is that for his part, I hear him taking accountability. And I don't understand why her attorneys, while she's testifying, are going over Johnny Depp's drug use ad nauseum. He's admitted that he took drugs, a lot of drugs, frequently.
And he's always apologetic to her. And
Yes.
It's almost like the abused constantly having to make concessions, constantly apologizing for their behavior so that they don't keep getting yelled at. So that
Correct.
He's the one that shows all the signs of being abused. And that's what makes it hard for some people to watch, because yes, I believe he was abused, but he's also toxic in his own way. It's just
He is.
I don't believe that he was physically abusing her. It's just, she's just made it so hard to believe anything at all that she's presented. All comes.
So Marshall's asking, like, do we actually believe that like anything occurred from Johnny Depp? Is anything that she's saying true? And I'm going to say I do believe that they had a very toxic and volatile relationship, and I do believe that he probably, I don't want to say laid hands on her, but I bet he did. I bet he did push her away from him, or like, just leave me alone. I'm trying to leave. Like, get off of me. Like, like somebody's hanging on your arm and you're like, just get away. I believe he probably did. And which is why I said, for me, I think the jury instruction is going to be really important, because if they determine what the domestic violence or domestic abuse is for the jurors, and I'll go back. Okay. So I was on a jury one time, and I really didn't think the guy was technically guilty. Like, just listening to the testimony, like, I was like, like, I could see why they're trying to make this guy guilty. But when we went back to the jury room, the jury instructions literally had like a list of questions, and you answered yes or no to the questions. And if you answered yes to this and many of the questions, then you believed the guy was guilty. And I was like, well, shit. Like, I don't necessarily believe that he's guilty, but I'm answering yes to all these questions. So you're very like stuck in like a really stupid place. And everybody's like, yeah, he's guilty. We all answered yes to the question. So we ended up finding this guy guilty, but it was very weird, because throughout it, I was like, I don't really know if and it was like a DUI charge. It was a little bit more complicated than that, but it wasn't anything obviously like this.
Right.
I felt weird about the fact that I answered these questions with all these yeses legally. According to the law, this guy was guilty. And so I had to say he was guilty, even though I was like, I think they're kind of pushing the envelope with him being this guilty in this aspect, but I don't know. So I feel like if they say that this is domestic violence, if XYZ constitutes domestic violence, domestic abuse, and if you find these things, then yes, her story is accurate and she has the right to write it, whether it's about Johnny or not. It's her story, and she is an ambassador of domestic violence, and so whether it messes with his livelihood or not doesn't really matter. Sorry, dog.
Right.
The real star of the show.
Oh, always.
Well,
yeah. Now they're up and playing because they just took a nap.
I will say this. I think that Johnny Depp is guilty of violence. Violence against cabinets, violence against doors, violence against walls. But as far as another human being, no, I don't. I think that what he likely did more than anything was to grab her arms in an effort to stop her from hitting him. He probably did set her down on the bed roughly he probably did attempt to restrain her. But I think that as far as that's the extent of it, I do think that I don't think that the things that have been caught on either video or audio, things that he has said to her, they seem to be a reaction. Not that it's right, but they seem to be a reaction, not he's not the instigator. And at the end of the day, you're always responsible for what you say and you do, right? Whether you're responding, whether somebody provokes you or not, you're responsible for your behavior. I think the two of them, I think Johnny Depp has issues, but I think that Amber Heard, because of her personality brand, makes makes the two of them incredibly toxic. I don't think, because I don't think Johnny Depp with somebody else, because it hasn't happened so far, would be this way as far as as bad as it got with the drinking and stuff. I think he was trying to escape a lot and
Oh, absolutely.
self-medicating.
I agree. That's what I was saying.
think,
Like it goes back to that whole, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Is he abusive
right,
because he's an addict, or is he an addict because he's abused?
right.
I
And I
find
think
her abusive. She even weaponized his children, and I find that to be the most
she
disgusting.
weaponized him. She armed her abuser with a knife.
Well, no, I just mean the way that she
Literally.
tries to hurt
Literally.
him by bringing up his kids and his
Yes.
relationship with his kids, and the
Yes.
slipped way she tried to drop their names in her testimony, and
Yes.
I don't like that at all.
And
like how much she just adored them and loved them. I think
Mhm.
she was extremely jealous of
I
them.
think she was,
And I think she was
exactly.
extremely jealous that she did not have a child with him to be able to make him have to stay with her.
Exactly.
That's my
Exactly.
personal opinion, nothing to do with the trial. But that's
And
just
I think that I think that it would be a stretch for Amber to classify that Lily, Rose, and Jack liked her on any level. I think they loved their dad and they tried the best they could with her for his sake. But as far as liking her or thinking she was good for him, I very seriously doubt that.
I
do.
agree.
I
don't
don't
think so either.
believe that. And I just and the eye contact thing, that was another bone of contention with me, because the truth, for her to say that Johnny Depp is not looking at her because he is guilty. The thing about people who are domestic, who are abusive, okay, they would absolutely look you in the eye and they wouldn't have any shame about it, because they would be continuing to try to control their victim, period. So if Johnny Depp is the person that was the abuser in this situation, the instigator of all of the abuse, right? And he kept Amber controlled and on a short leash, he absolutely would look her in the eye, because it's one last measure of control, which is
He
why
would be trying to intimidate her into shutting her up. Like,
correct, which is
keep going with your
why
lies and see what's going to happen to you, because you know what I've done to you in the past, and you don't think I'm going to do it
exactly,
again. Yeah, he's
exactly.
not smug at all when it comes to that. Yeah, I think that some of his
No,
laughing is a little excessive, but I think they just find some of it just so like, holy crap, like, is this
ridiculous.
real? Yeah, this
Did
real.
she really just say that shit? Is that what she said? Like, that's his reaction. But I think that the fact is, she continued to try to catch his eye. And I'm glad that Camille brought it up, because we all noticed it. There was an absolute pattern to how she made eye contact, and she did like this whole rotation: the judge, Johnny, the jury, Johnny, her lawyer.
Yep. And then stone cold face right back to Camille when she was up there.
Correct. And there
At
were a
least,
few times,
my opinion. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
there were a few times when she went to answer Camille, that prior to the head turn towards the jury, there was an eye roll. And then the head turn. She would listen to the question, she rolled her eyes, and then she turned to the jury and answered Camille's question. She petty as fuck. Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
go
she's
ahead.
very petty. No, I was just going to answer Allie's question. Allie 79. So what's my opinion on why they brought the knife into the courtroom? I think that they wanted the jury to see the knife, and I think they wanted her reaction, and they wanted the jury to see her reaction to the knife. If you have somebody who's abusing you, you don't typically want to buy them more weapons to abuse you with. And then she talks about the fact that he has this gorgeous, knife collection, that he's bought her knives. So I think that I think they wanted the jury to see her reaction to why you were buying him a weapon, if you are worried about your being unalived. You know what I mean? Like he was going to unintentionally kill you. So here,
Right.
let's buy him something to unintentionally kill you with. That doesn't make any sense.
But then think about also the audio that we heard where you can hear Amber pleading with Johnny to put the knife down. He's going to hurt himself. So I don't necessarily know what knife it was that Johnny Depp had. However, if you were in a situation with someone you loved and cared about, who was your husband, your spouse, your wife, whatever, and they had tried self-harming with a knife and they were completely out of it and whatever, like Amber alleges on that audio that you can hear her, you would have a visceral reaction to a knife being brought into the courtroom because it would take you right back to that day or night or whatever it was.
And he
That's
also
why he
testified
did it.
that he wasn't doing that she was twisting what he was saying, that he was trying to say, "You've taken everything from me. All you've got left is my blood. Do you want my blood now too? You took everything possible away from me."
Yeah.
And then she's saying, "Oh, it's too blunt. It's too blunt." And she's just an awful person. I
When
really
she
can't.
was laughing at I'll say this, the only thing she did right in any of the audio was not bring up Nightmare on Elm Street to throw that in his face. She threw 21 Jump Street in his face, which is bad enough. But if she had sunk to the level of throwing out Nightmare on Elm Street as if it was a negative, I would have lost my whole entire mind. That is the most epic kill scene in any horror movie of
Oh,
all
it's
time, the
amazing.
waterbed. And
Amazing.
for the time that it was and all of that, it still sticks to my brain. And if she would have said something, I already don't like you, Amber. Don't play with me.
Her mom testified that, or her mom testified. Look, let me back that up. Her mom did not testify. I mean, her mom, this is going back. Her mom said that Amber had a poster of him on her wall.
Of course she did.
No, she
But
didn't. Did she really?
that's what,
Yes.
and that is an exchange. Even Johnny, in one of the exchanges between he and Amber, says, "Let's call your mom." And she's like, "Let's call her." And he's like, let's call your mom and ask her about how much, you knew about me, like alluding to she was a fan, she did know him. And it was an argument between the two of them. That
And then her
Wow.
maniacal laugh that she was doing.
Oh, that was horrific.
And I just kept
Psycho.
thinking to myself, why would you think recording this is a good idea? Like, okay, I get you why you recorded it, all right? But then when I know your maniacal ass listen back to it. How could you at all even remotely think that playing this in front of God and everybody was going to work out well for you? And her explanations about what was on the audio were ridiculous. You're trying to have a conversation with your husband about all of the things that upset you, right? But none of the things that you're testifying to or your explanations, it's not like you were confined to a tweet with 150 characters or a YouTube live with 150 characters, okay? You were using your own words. So why didn't you just say what the fuck it is you just testified to? Why didn't you just say what you meant? If this is what that means, why didn't you just say that in the first place? Why do you need to have an extra explanation? Because your shit doesn't make any sense. That's why.
Well, I think she continues to add extra explanations to literally every story she's told.
Yes.
And the ironic part for me is I think if she had stuck with the original the truth, I don't know how that sounds so weird, I know, but just that their relationship was toxic, and this is what happens in a toxic relationship that became volatile and became incredibly hard to manage, and how it self-destructed. I think she would have actually had a better case, and she probably could have still done an op-ed and gotten what she wanted out of the whole thing by just talking about like being with somebody who was such a high caliber actor, and when she wasn't, and how it changed her whole being as a person because of this toxic relationship and how she dealt with it. Because like she says, it's about her. It's not about him. It's about her. If she actually stuck to the truth, she probably would have had a better case.
Yeah.
But
This is what happened. It goes back to this whole saying of it's better to let everybody in the room think you're an idiot than open your mouth and remove all doubt.
Right.
Stop
Right.
talking, Amber. I'm gonna start calling
Right.
her Ambular, like from not Mean Girls, Clueless, Ambular.
Oh yeah. Whatever.
SF. But I mean,
Marshall, you said like the whole thing is sad because they loved each other. Well, I think that that's part of the issue. Is I don't is it, no matter who's what a quote unquote side you're on, the other person is not who that person even thought they were. So they may have loved each other, but one of them wasn't, or maybe both weren't actually in love with anybody who was real. The beginning of the relationship is they were married. They were only married for what, 15 months, I believe. They got married in February 2015, filed for divorce May of 2016. They'd been dating since end of 2011. So, all right. So there's a couple things I want to touch on before we leave, though. Can we talk about Ellen Barkin?
Oof.
No, the original Butterface. Bless her heart.
I don't think that was effective. I mean, apparently the jury and the gallery laughed over the scratch the romance, make it sexual comment.
Yeah, it was a sexual relationship.
Yes, it was just a sexual relationship. And the entire reason that they brought her on was to say that he threw a bottle at her, and then she goes, it was really just a toss, and it was a group of us.
Well, but here's my issue is this is pre-recorded. This isn't live, so that it's not like she's saying that right then. They knew that's what she said.
Exactly.
Why did they play that?
They've got nothing. They're just desperate at this point, I feel. I mean, when Elaine, when she was trying to do her redirect on Amber, and she was like, I'm trying, and then she rage quit.
She did. She totally rage quit.
She just rage quit. And now this is what they're playing. I don't know where else they can go with this. I don't know who they think they're going to bring in as some bombshell. Everything I've looked over, it doesn't seem like they have much left.
I think those were supposed to be their bombshells.
Oh, bitch, you tried. Like, that's just how I feel about the whole thing. Is you tried though. Sorry, it didn't work out. It was a flop for me. But I'm not on the jury, and the jury is not supposed to be accessing all of the information that we have access to. So, I mean, now, if you were in the jury, do you believe that they're checking things out?
Wilson Man says that Elaine called him tonight as a Hail Mary. She wants him to testify on Monday, but he doesn't even know these people. That's how bad it's got. They're just calling Wilson.
He'll be testifying. I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything. I don't know anything.
You just go on and plead the fifth and be like, yeah, I'm going to plead the fifth. So she was a person who saw money and she took advantage of him. I don't even know if it was money, honestly, and 5, 6, 7, 8. I think that it was like stature or like the notoriety of being his wife and what that would do for her career. Yes, money is obviously the end game, but I really think that she wanted like the power. And she thought like by having Johnny Depp as her person, people were going to automatically just respect her.
She wanted to be a Hollywood power couple. That's what she wanted.
Right.
And she saw first of all, it would have helped. I think she did it like exactly for what you said, Teresa. It was for her career because yes, Johnny has done tons of films, right? And he has all kinds of connections, but more than that, he owns his own production company.
Yep.
So, he could be like Rob Zombie. His wife, what is her name? Sherry Moon, isn't that what it is? Something Moon.
Sherry Moon Zombie.
Sherry Moon, yeah. She is in every single movie that he does. And I think that's what she was wanting. What'd you say?
I said that she should be, and I'm a huge Rob Zombie fan, but she reached a point where she was not the best choice for every role that she played.
No.
And I'm super worried about the Munsters. I am a big fan of the Munsters, and I think he will do it justice, but I'm just worried because he cast her
She
again.
can't. She's limited. Okay, look. She was good in The Devil's Rejects. I'll give you that.
Mm-hmm.
But she was not good in the remakes of Halloween.
Oh,
She
it's
was
terrible.
not
Oh, so bad.
good. She was not
Terrible.
good in those. She was not good in what is it? House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah, but to be honest,
She
I mean,
But I don't think anybody cares. I mean, really, I think the
well,
whole point was she was happy, he was happy, and it's their thing, and that's what it was about. They
correct.
weren't
Like
they
Rob
weren't
wasn't
trying
trying
to
to
make
sweep the Oscars. That's for sure.
yeah, they weren't. Yeah, that's
no,
what I'm saying. Like
no.
they weren't trying to like make a big name for themselves or anything. It was just something that they enjoyed doing, and he wanted to. It reminds me of like Adam Sandler, who literally in every movie has all of his friends, no matter what role they play.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just because he just likes to, and they like to do it, and it's not about like that those people becoming huge stars. It's just because
No.
it's fun for them.
Right.
I
But
think
Amber,
she wanted it to be like
like that.
a big deal, like yeah, she wanted it to be like that, but she wanted to be bigger than him, and she
Yes, she
wanted to
did.
use him as the stepping stool to get her bigger than him by smushing him down versus lifting him up and then giving her a higher pedestal. She wanted to
Correct.
just be higher than him, however nasty she was, and he just had to be the shit on the bottom of her shoe.
And I think the thing that she was, if she were honest with herself
I'll be right
and,
back.
okay, and like actually admitted some things. If you want to know my opinion, and I assume you do because you're listening, I think that the thing that she is the most envious of is the fact that people actually like Johnny Depp. And that's really what part of this is. Like, if you knew him, the real him, you wouldn't like him, which is why when she was on cross examination, she threw in the jab or redirect. She threw in the jab about how he talks about his fans. Like, if you knew who Johnny Depp really was, you wouldn't think he was such a swell guy. And because I think that's the part of that is what she's the most envious of. I think that's what she covets the most is the fact that people actually do genuinely like him, and he has long um long lasting long-term friendships. And Amber burns through people like I've seen batteries last longer than friendships with Amber. So she just
All right,
runs
I'm
through
back at
people,
it.
man.
She
She
does.
does.
Uh-oh, we lost Missy. We lost
We
Missy.
sure did. She just runs through people. She's not, I think that's, she's just not a good human being. And, and she could work, if she would first of all admit that she has any sort of problem. That's the first step. And she could work on herself if she wanted to. But she doesn't think she has a problem. Everything that has ever happened to her is the fault
It's
of
somebody else's
somebody
fault.
else. And she
And did you
takes
notice
no
that while she was
accountability.
testifying, everybody else lied except for
Yes.
her.
Mhm.
Everybody else was like, well, they made that up, or they did this, or they did that. Missy, if you're still listening, come back. But can we talk about the Disney executive? I'd like to talk about her and her lack of information.
I didn't watch her.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Okay. So, well, you didn't really miss a lot, but she basically didn't know anything. I'm not really sure why she was a witness. She wasn't high enough to actually have any information. She really didn't offer very much of anything.
I mean,
It's a very short
did she get her legal team from Wish or maybe YouTube?
She got the Wish
Because
version of Johnny's legal team. Hey, Missy, you back?
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. Okay, we're talking about the Disney executive.
Oh, the Disney. Oh, I didn't. I actually was playing on full speed at that time.
We were saying that it was pretty lackluster anyway. It wasn't she didn't really put anything on the table that helped Amber. I don't think it I don't think it hurt or helped anybody. It was really a waste of their hours, in my opinion.
Yeah. That's the thing. Nobody that Amber has put on, including herself, has actually helped her or not even been able to verify or back up anything that she has claimed.
Hi,
Nobody.
Amelia.
Hey, Amelia,
Well, that
even Rocky.
well, that's why I don't know. I don't think Johnny Depp is winning in the court of public opinion, which I believe we all agree is what matters. But even in the slim chance that he wins in court, I don't think that he'll be awarded much money. This would be a landmark defamation case. No one has ever been awarded $50 million.
But the only thing is if the jury takes into consideration that Pirate 6, and I know that there was no contract, I get that, but I cannot imagine that any rational human being would think that he was not going to be in Pirate 6. Would not
I
realize.
want him to get $7 million.
You want him to get the $7 million back?
I want him to
do.
get
That's
$7
what
million.
I think. He should get $7 million. That's exactly what.
That would
But
actually
here's
be
the
very
thing:
funny.
everybody focuses on Pirate 6, but what people are not focusing on, and they should be, is the role that he was actually cast in and fired
Fantastic
from,
Beasts.
which is the Fantastic Beasts, and
Right.
that is
That wasn't
absolute
enough money.
no
That wasn't
probably. But here,
that's where the 50
well,
million comes in, though, is because the 40 million of that is from Pirate 6.
right. But I think that they should bring up the Fantastic Beasts because people had lost interest a little bit in the Pirates movies, as it were, by that point. But
they're still
people
making
loved him.
millions of dollars.
Correct. But people loved him
Yep.
in Fantastic Beasts. And that's the thing. Harry Potter movies and books have a really solid, loyal fan base. And people were so incredibly excited when I'm people. When they did that when Fantastic Beasts was a thing, when they made it a thing. I was so excited.
I was excited
for it.
too.
And then to see, and the guy that played Hannibal, who's actually an excellent actor, and I just can't think of his name right now.
He's a very good actor, and I mean, and he did a good job.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah, that's it. But
it's still not the same.
Because you invest in a character. You invest in a character and you become, emotionally attached to the character. And then you start to, get excited for the next one. And then it's, they're not there anymore. But he was paid $10 million. So he received money, but they cut him from the film.
Which is what I foresee happening with Aquaman 2. I foresee that they paid her the $2 million.
Yep.
They had her shoot her scenes, and I think that they'll cut her.
I think they're saying that she has been cut.
Well, she was cut down.
I've heard that she's been cut.
Yeah, I was
cut.
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't heard that. I knew that they said that she had been cut down drastically, but then I was hearing rumors that they would
I'll say allegedly
and refilm it.
I'll say allegedly. It was a couple articles I read today was saying that she was officially cut, but you know how the internet webs work.
Yeah.
Right. So
not everything.
So speaking of Aquaman, then let's talk about, her agent comes on. Did you guys watch Her Agent?
Yes.
No, I didn't.
Okay, that's a really big one. I think that you should probably watch, Jen, if you have a hot minute, because she says something in there about that Aquaman, 1 did so well, and that actors that are on that trajectory, you could foresee them getting very big roles. She would have been able to renegotiate her contract for Aquaman 2 and get her more money. And, she would have started getting bigger roles and more money for those roles. And that it basically went down. And when she was asked, like, why do you feel like that happened? She said, because nobody likes to work with somebody who's been accused of abuse.
Mm-hmm.
She literally says that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you just said exactly what you're there for, which is that nobody wants to work with Johnny because Amber
He
accused
was
him of
abused.
abuse.
Exactly.
Yeah, but she had to say it. She had to say that on Amber's behalf because Amber has to prove that what's his name, Waldman's statements were defamatory to her, and that
Mhm.
she suffered a loss of income due to it. So what the agent essentially did was prove both of their cases. If you want to know the
But
truth,
the
But
agent
here's the thing
lied. The agent lied. She testified that it was the
I have to
biggest
watch
movie
it.
ever, and
Oh,
that
she did. She said,
there were no bad reviews of Amber's performance when there's lots of
Tons.
critics
She
who
sucked
panned
as
her.
Mira.
And this woman had the balls to testify that she was an amazing actress
yeah.
and that there were no bad reviews of her
I mean,
character.
this may be the
But then at the
biggest
same
role.
sentence comes out and says that the reason that they were cutting her role down, that she was told they were cutting her role down in Aquaman 2 was because of the lack of chemistry between her and Jason Momoa. And I don't know if anybody, if Jason Momoa wasn't Aquaman, that movie would not have made the amount of money that it made.
Nobody cares about Aquaman. I don't want to be an asshole about
I
it. But let's
didn't
just
even realize it was her that was Mira.
okay.
But you basically summed it up about her acting career, Teresa.
I didn't know, and I knew who she was. Let me just tell you that I knew who she was. I've seen her. I've followed. I know what she looked like, and it didn't click to me that she was Mira. I was probably very focused on Jason Momoa because I find him fascinatingly beautiful. So but I didn't know.
Hasn't he said he wants her cut?
He has now, yeah, and he started following JD
Yeah.
on Instagram.
Johnny,
And he was
yeah,
actually
he has.
he was pro Amber Heard when this whole thing started because he believed her.
I think that here's the truth is for her, as far up until this point, Aquaman would probably be because if when they say a big role, the truth is Mira is not a huge I mean, she's part of it, but she's not that big of a part of it, right? Of Aquaman's story.
No, if they cut Mira out altogether, I'm not sure I'd care.
Nobody would care. The truth is that nobody's really had a big interest in Aquaman, just generally speaking. I mean, the Justice. I don't know. The Justice League doesn't actually need Aquaman, if you know what I'm saying.
Well, ironically, Aquaman made more money than any of the other DC movies. So they actually Aquaman
DC
was
movies
a very,
have been
very big deal in their little universe.
Oh.
So, but I'm telling you, it's because of Jason Momoa.
It was because of Jason Momoa. Exactly, and I'll say
Jason
this:
Momoa.
a lot of the reason why the DC movies haven't done as well as Aquaman is because nobody wanted Ben Affleck to be Batman, and that's just the truth.
It is the truth.
It's the truth.
It is the truth. Who wanted Ben Affleck to be Batman?
Nobody.
I was actually concerned about Robert Pattinson being Batman. I'll tell you. I'll be honest. I was kind of concerned when they casted him as Batman.
And I saw it.
And then I saw it.
Michael Keaton is Batman. Michael Keaton is the only Batman.
I will agree, but Michael Keaton, it cannot haul his cookies into a Batman suit at this point and be part of the Justice League. However, what I think they should have done,
geriatric Batman.
Right.
Geriatric Batman.
Yeah, what we would have seen is Alfred would be dead and Batman would be just all hopped up on Geritol.
Batman might as well just be Alfred at this point.
Correct. Exactly. But I think they should have just kept it. And I know they couldn't, but they should have just kept it with what's his name? Who was just Batman, not Robert Pattinson, but Christian Bale. They should have just kept Christian Bale as
Christian
Batman.
Bale was a good Batman, but he completed his.
Yeah. But they could have brought him in for the Batman versus Superman and then the spinoff into but I will say this. I think kind of the reason they didn't use him is because if you watching Ben Affleck's Batman as he interacts with the rest of the Justice League is kind of he's more I mean, he has his Batman, I'm real serious and all that moments, but it's also kind of jovial when they joke back and forth. And I don't know that but he's always so serious, even when he's not supposed to be being serious. So maybe that's why. I don't know.
Well, you've heard the tapes of Christian Bale losing his shit on set.
Yes, he's
Mhm.
a little bit of
Yeah,
a
he's
maniac.
always serious. That guy's way too serious. He needs to probably take some of fucking Amber Heard's
All the
pills.
time. Maybe he can borrow a fucking lewd from Rocky.
Rocky. Yeah, she's got the Quaalude Connect.
I mean, it's just whatever. And the other thing is that friggin' photo of the cocaine. Okay. Who puts out 4 lines of cocaine and then goes to bed?
And then
And I said,
leaves.
right. Like, let me just, these, yeah, just here, here's, I'm prepping for when I get back, you're just leaving your coke exposed like that.
Yes, a 58-year-old drug addict and party man certainly perfectly arranges his whole table and his little
Exactly.
lines and then just leaves and then just walks away and goes to bed.
Rolls a
But can I
cigarette,
point out
doesn't
something about
smoke
this
it.
picture that I thought was interesting after Whitney testified? Because if you remember, she talks about that Johnny always smoked on the balcony, and she came in and it was weird because the house smelled like smoke one day.
Mm-hmm.
So then my question was, why is there an ashtray at the table with one of his cigarettes rolled in it if he always smoked on the balcony?
Exactly.
She had to pose her Instagram photo, her
and where
basic
exactly.
bitch Instagram photo with all the perfectly arranged drugs and oh look, let me put a Keith Richards CD here and
That
his
is the cleanest.
logo.
I feel like
That's
it.
the
I feel like
cleanest
it
glass
was.
table after an all-night
Uh-huh.
fucking coke binge I've ever seen in my life. And
Yeah.
that's Amber's house. It's not like it's Johnny's house where they have staff.
No, I think she set it up for him
Of
to
course
either
she
wake
did.
up or come over.
Yes, of course she did. I
And
think
that
what
was
she
it
did
was
was
I don't think it was staged to use against him later. I think it was
no,
staged to send to him. I really do. I think it was like,
I do
"Look,
too.
honey, everything's ready for you.
Because that's when he was
Everything's gonna be
going to
perfect."
film with Keith Richards. And I think that's what she was like, okay, I made a nice dinner for you. Here's your liquor, your Coke, and your rolled
Yeah.
cigarette. It's all ready.
It was all
Yeah.
brand new. It was like there was still condensation on his glass, so it wasn't drank. So it was like it was ready for him.
But that was
Exactly.
not a couple fingers of whiskey. That was a full fist in that glass. I mean, what kind of pour was that?
But remember, she didn't even know what he drank most of the time. She didn't. Like,
We
she's just too
kept
busy
it
pouring it out.
in the freezer. It's something Johnny's drink. What the? Come on, Amber. You're a level 3
Bullshit.
sommelier, but you don't know what the fuck he's drinking.
Bullshit.
Go
You
on
knew exactly
somewhere
what he
with
was
that
drinking, so
crap.
you could buy it and make sure you had it for him.
Correct. Because the person that Johnny Depp met was Amber Heard's representative, not the real her. And you can tell when they have their final argument and whatnot, where he says that. I never knew you. I didn't know who you were. And
Mhm.
that person I thought you were doesn't exist. And he meant it. And I'm not even going to, just to be fair, there are some of the exchanges that Johnny Depp is a little dramatic, in my opinion. But then there are some where
I
you
think
can
he
totally.
is dramatic, though.
He
It's
is.
his being.
But then there's some where you can tell he's had enough. And that I think the most evident one of that is when he is trying to get her to leave so he can go see his kids, or he's trying to leave to go see his kids or his daughter. And
Oh
he said,
yeah,
but you
that one.
just won't let me fucking leave. Like, you can
Yeah.
hear it in his voice. And then she has this, you're killing me moment.
Did you
And you
notice,
can,
like, he could obviously have gotten out of the car and just walked away, but
Mhm.
like he keeps saying, like, "You're not letting me leave," like almost like he wants there to be a conclusion to the fight, like everything's fine, like or like an ending, like a goodbye, so that he doesn't there isn't that trauma after leaving and just constantly thinking about, like, how did this fight happen and why did it end that way, some type of closure, so he can just go out and spend some time with his daughter, because he could have left and he
right. And
didn't,
what's
because
going
he
to
wanted her to
happen?
be okay.
Exactly.
And he
And then
knew that he was going to be punished when he
that's
left.
what I was saying.
Mhm.
Exactly. So it would have started with a series of, 50, 1100 rapid fire texts. Then it would have been the phone calls, and then it would have been however the texts and the phone calls went. It would have been worse when he got home. There would have been a freaking argument, a knockdown, drag out for sure.
Mhm.
And all he wanted to do was spend time with his daughter, which she was resentful. Do you know how? Oh,
Because I knew it was going to start the cycle, Jen. I
Yeah.
knew it was going to start the
Yeah.
cycle all over again as soon as he went in there and spent time with his daughter.
Right. The cycle that you perpetuate by bringing drugs and alcohol. Look, here's the deal. And I said this the other day too. She's so upset about the drugs. Okay, fine. Be upset about the drugs, Amber. But let me just say this. If that was the issue, then why was it when he was in Australia, are you texting him with your drug requests? If you're wanting your man to get clean and sober, here's the thing. I am of the opinion that if your partner has a drug or alcohol problem, you yourself don't have to stop doing drugs and alcohol, but you should definitely don't do drugs and alcohol if in front of the partner who's trying to get sober.
But I also think
Right.
it's a little bit different when it's, in my opinion, I'm going to put that out there. In my opinion, she has a drug and alcohol problem herself. It's not
Absolutely.
like, so,
She
like,
does.
my brother's been in recovery for almost 5 years now. And if I have a drink around him, which I don't even drink, but if I did, like, he could care less. If I was obliterated and hammered all the time, that
That's
would be a
different.
problem. And that's my
But
brother,
then
not
she
even my,
goes,
you know what I'm saying?
right, but she goes the extra mile, right? And has him score drugs for her, putting
Yes.
him, okay, it's not, look, drug dealers, they deal drugs, and there are some drug dealers that just deal one specific drug, and then there's the drug dealer that has all the things, or at least can get a hold of all the things, right? So why would you send him, even if you're sending him to pick up your MDMA, you're putting him around a drug dealer. So wouldn't you be
Mhm.
concerned that he would try to score his drug of choice?
Mhm. I don't think she cared.
She didn't care. It was a control thing. She wanted to be the one who told him when he could do drugs and when he couldn't, and when he could drink and when he couldn't. She only cared about the control. She didn't actually care about what it might be doing to him.
And then I think she liked to make fun of him. So I think a lot of the
Correct.
recordings and the stuff when he was having all these troubles was to be like, haha, look at this is big old bad Johnny Depp. Haha,
Right.
look at my
Everybody
friends.
thinks he's so
All my
cool. Look
friends
at
can
him.
know
He's
what a fucking idiot he is.
Yeah,
Did
look at
you
him. He's
did you
slobbering
hear
all over
her?
himself.
Did you hear her kind of try to allude to the fact that he had problems sexually when
No.
she said something about when he went? It was one of the times that she's claiming that she was SA'd, when she said he started grabbing on her, and which was unusual for him to want to, or for him to be able to do that. I'll have to go back and find it, but she made some comment almost like he wasn't interested or couldn't get it up or whatever. And I don't want to completely misspeak, so I'm going to find that. But she was trying to basically be like, oh, this old man has problems in bed.
Yeah, but then in
Because he's just
that
a
one
fat old man.
fight, she says to basically call, I guess, one of his Sanchas. I bet she's still around. I think it was Ellen. I think it might have been Ellen that she said. I think that might be the name. She said. I have to go back and listen to that audio. She's always down or something like that. And maybe I will call him or call her.
Maybe I will. Maybe I'll do that.
Which is just stupid, petty arguments. It doesn't mean, like some of the stuff that she showed as evidence of verbal abuse or emotional abuse actually doesn't show that to me. Like I've seen people say worse, more foul stuff on YouTube than
Shit.
to each other.
I want $50 million for the defamation on YouTube. Let me just say that.
Than the people than those audio tapes. Like, I kind of want to tell Johnny Depp, you want me to help you give the girl a real clap back? You want me to show you how to really read that bitch for filth? Here's some here's some channels you might want to check out. You know?
Yeah, and then what did you guys think about the attorney talking about that he was talking to YouTubers and Twitter folk?
Oh, I
He has
love that he really aggravated them with the way that he was responding. I loved his responses.
I mean, again, I really think that this goes back to he really wants to clear his name in the court of public opinion, frankly. Because if you think about it, really, why didn't he include the Washington Post in the lawsuit? Hell, why didn't he include the ACLU? They're the ones that helped her write it. I think he included Amber because this is the kind of stuff he wanted to come out. He wanted those he knew that the tapes existed. He wanted those tapes to come out. He wanted people to hear her say to him, tell the world, Johnny Depp, tell the world that you, Johnny Depp, a man, are a victim of domestic violence.
Well, do you also think that, I mean, all of those things happened because of her story, because of her lying. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, in my opinion, I think that the attorneys for ACLU, the ACLU and the Washington Post, if she hadn't lied, they wouldn't have done any of that. So ultimately, it still comes back down to her.
Right, but if it was about money for him, then he could have included all of them as parties to the defamation. Because at the bottom, but because I know op-eds are different, you know, that they wouldn't, because his name wasn't in there, then they don't have to call him for his side of the story because she never actually used his government name. So that's probably a big reason why it absolves them and why. But if he wanted to just if it was about money or if it was really about the op-ed article, they'd be focused more on the op-ed article, his team would. And to be truthful, they're really not. They're mainly focused on the abuse. Because I think that's the important. I think that's the important part. I think that's what Johnny Depp really wants to get out. Because, you know, he can't really get the contents of the op-ed belong to Amber. She's already owned it 11 billion times. The title, on the other hand, does not.
Well, it does, though. I mean, it does. It belongs to her. It's what she said in the article.
Correct, but she didn't have any say-so over but she didn't say it like that. They took part
of it, and then she said the other part of it.
Yeah, and they mushed it together as if it were a singular sentence, and it's not, which is why they didn't use quotation marks. But my point is that I think for him it's really more about clearing his name. I don't think he actually thinks that he's gonna win $50 million. You know what I mean? I don't think he thinks that's going to be what he's awarded.
I don't think he cares.
No, and I think that's why the focus of the of Johnny Depp's team's case has surrounded Amber, her behavior, and her abuse, and very little, with the exception of the ACLU guy coming on, has it really been about the op-ed article, which is the reason they're all supposed to be there in the first place, because of the article that she wrote and lied in, which I get why they have to first prove Amber is lying about the abuse.
Right.
So.
Okay, so to wrap it up then, I want to ask you guys, does it matter what the jury comes back with?
No.
No, I think that it was important to him to have all of this evidence out there. I think it will help if he wins, but he could win $1 on principle instead of a large sum of money.
Right.
I think that your idea of the 7 million would be absolutely hilarious.
That would be
I know, too bad the jury can't listen to us.
I know.
Yeah, we should tell them.
We should find a way.
You know, they totally are. These are a lot of the jurors are in their 20s and 30s. Like they're not avoiding their phones. Something's slipping through.
Of course.
Why,
But
like how much this is everywhere. I just can't imagine that they don't see anything. Ooh.
And they're not sequestered. So, I mean, this is hard to avoid. It's really hard to avoid.
It would be on the honor system.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Plus,
unless somebody could prove that one was not honored, then it wouldn't matter. But
right,
I agree with you guys. I don't think it matters.
Week.
I don't care ultimately who wins any dollar amount. I don't care how much money they win.
Well, that's why I listen to a lot of the stuff about from the gallery, those that make videos or tweet about from the gallery about the jury, because I just find the psychology of jurors very interesting, and their reactions and what they're connecting with and what they don't care about, because these are everyday normal people and they're listening to millionaires complain about their first world problems. So I don't know that they even give a hoot about millions of dollars.
No,
you know, and when it comes to the money portion of this at all.
No, but I will say this. You can tell, even though like we obviously don't get to see the jury, right? You can tell who the jury has connected with, because Amber did make a few jokes on the stand, and they didn't get a chuckle from the jury.
Well, and then one of the channels that is in the and I can't remember, Runkle, I believe is the name of the channel.
Runkle of the Bailey. Yes, I love him.
Yeah, he's hilarious. Except for he's too exhausted to even try to be funny at this point. He needs to go to bed. But he said, like, one of the jurors who normally doesn't make any facial expressions actually came in one day this week, and I don't remember which one it was, but and actually smiled at Johnny.
Did you see how his stream went down?
No, I didn't.
I was watching his stream and I was behind.
Last night?
Yeah, they were. There was a whole big thing I was watching. You know, I love my lawyers. I was watching the panel. They went after a few different legal channels that were discussing the case.
Oh, really?
And he got his stream back. There was a Twitter campaign. They got his stream back up. They all went down for spam. And it was very strategic how each stream was going down.
He had Rakita Law on, and then he had the DUI guy on there too.
Yep.
And that's the stream that went down. I was watching that stream. I thought it
was the one that it was his reaction, his video about the jurors because he's staying with Law and Lumber. Well, he's supposed to be flying back to Canada, but it was when he was streaming with him. And he got through the stream, I believe, because I was behind. So it had actually ended, but I couldn't finish it because it went private. And so then he went on to Rakita's stream, which I watched, and he was explaining what happened. And then a couple of the other guys were talking about, it was Law and Logic, Joe in New York. His went down.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did they get those taken down like that?
I think it was a bot swarm, and they're talking about Amber's PR team and how they've been trying to navigate social media, because if you look at mainstream media, a lot of the articles are sympathetic to her. But then if you look at now, you can't control the media as much because of YouTube and Facebook and Twitter, where regular people are putting the information out there, and the narrative isn't as easy to control.
Yeah, we're reckless with our info. We put it all out there.
We'll just say it.
Yeah, no, that whole LawTubes community. I'm glad that they're getting some major props for their coverage of this. I mean, obviously, it's a high profile case, so it's getting a lot of coverage anyway. If you look around, every channel is like covering it, but I'm sucked in, so that's just how it is. But they're just are average guys that are just talking and women, because there's Andrea, and then there's Emily.
Oh, I love Andrea. I'm so glad that she made a channel.
Yeah. So, but they're bringing such a different perspective that, it helps people who don't have the insight to be able to understand all the little legalese that are going on in there, and I
All
love
the
that.
nuances, because there are a lot.
Right, and I don't, like I said, I don't have any idea what half of those are, and I'm like, oh, that makes more sense now, or whatever. So if you guys aren't watching those guys, if you want, some expert lawyer opinions that with a laugh at the same time, because they really don't give a shit. They're just like, yeah, fuck that, and they're just out
I'm
there. They're just saying how they
curious.
want to. I love it.
That's where I spend all my time.
Besides here with me.
Right, of course.
Yes, of course.
I am curious though, if every single person who streamed Wednesdays or Tuesdays, was it Tuesday or Wednesday when they played the James Corbin show? I'm curious if every single channel got a copyright claim.
Emily did.
I did too.
Oh, did you?
I sure did. And you know what? I don't give a rat's fat kneecap. I will go back into the YouTube studio and I will edit that clip out.
Well, it's funny because, some of the older videos that were done on the case, they were not able to actually, like, you can't go and find that footage of her on James Gordon's show. It's not around.
No.
So it obviously was taken down for the purposes of this case, but I think it's interesting that they're still claiming it because people haven't been able to find it for a long time. You can find her on David Letterman, you can find her on all these other ones, but you can't, that particular stream or that particular show is not there.
It's like the Jenny Jones show, which actually that actual episode never did air, but
no.
It's on. You can find it on YouTube.
Weird.
But I don't appreciate getting a copyright claim. First of all, I had plenty of commentary over it, number one. And number two, why are you trying? You pulled the episode yourself. So why are you now trying to make money off of it?
That was my whole thing. Like, yeah, and give me a break. It's not even their footage you're playing necessarily. It's the footage from the trial.
If anybody should be coming for me, it's the person. It's the channel I actually streamed from. Dummies, and they're not.
Like, leave me alone. I'm just the word case studies.
Bruh, I don't even have 2,000 subscribers. Calm the fuck down.
That's the bots in action.
You know how much money I make in ad revenue from a live that has like 100 and some odd views? Like $3, maybe $3.50 if I'm lucky. You know what I mean?
Buy a scratch-off ticket.
They're like, let me have all the money. I'm going to take it from the little man.
Listen, James Corbin, you want to take my $3.50 and you haul your cookies over here to Florida and I'll do some carpool karaoke with you.
He may need it. He's leaving the show, so.
Rude.
He's like, I'll give you back your $3.
I was a big Craig Ferguson fangirl, so I don't care that James is leaving. I haven't watched.
Oh, I love him.
I loved Craig Ferguson. I used to go and see his stand-up, and I was very sad when he left. And so I've protested his replacement this whole time.
I love them both.
I know, I like him. I'm not a big late night hokey fan, and that's what I loved about Craig Ferguson because he was so anti. So yeah, I loved me some Craigie Ferg.
If I happen to be up at night, I'll watch it, but it's not like something I ever tape and like watch. But I do enjoy Jimmy Fallon, and I do enjoy James Gordon because I love Carpool Karaoke. It's one of my favorite.
Me too.
Things. It's so freaking funny.
I didn't know that people still watch real TV.
All the Carpool Karaoke I've seen has been on YouTube or TikTok. Sorry, James Corbin.
People still watch real TV. It's typically at that time frame where like I finish a show, but I know I want to go to bed soon, so I don't want to start another show. And so I'm like, all right, well, I'm still doing whatever I'm doing on my computer, I'm typing or whatever. And then, so that's what's on TV, so that's what I'll watch.
Oh, yeah. You're not like me where I just pass out with my earbuds in, listening to LawTube or one of the other streams that I listen to, and I just pass out, and then I wake up and go, what happened? And my glasses are still on, and my earbuds in my ear.
I have done that. Don't get me wrong, I have. But I
I'll
mean,
put it.
but
I'll
if you
put
were
it
with
on
Amber
you.
Heard, she would take pictures of you like that and then say that you were drunk or intoxicated
Exactly.
and on
Oh,
drugs.
exactly.
On the nod. And
Yeah.
this is her way of helping you. Do you know what you look like when you're fucked up? You look like this.
But
Hmm.
the messed up part about that is like my brother and my husband, they can go to sleep anywhere, they just go to sleep.
Yep.
They would end up in positions like that just from the fact that they can fall asleep whatever, and like I have to be like in a particular position, like I have my pillows in a certain spot,
Correct.
Mhm.
so like I could
It's a
take all kinds of
process.
pictures like that and say, yeah, look at all these guys around me, they're all just passed out drunk, blah, 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 because they just fall asleep.
Well, yeah. And if she wanted to help him at the end of the day, she didn't have to send it to her friends.
Yeah, no, she lies.
She lied bad. Bad. She's a horrible, horrible liar.
All
Amber
right, so
Heard, you're just no good.
we should do one more live stream when this is all said and done, just to
At the
just
conclusion,
Yes.
you gotta do a
have the
rap
Yeah.
party. Gotta do a rap
Definitely.
party.
Yeah.
And Molson, I don't know if you're still here, but I know that you asked me earlier when you hopped in if when the Terra live is going to be. It was supposed to be tonight, but my counterpart that was supposed to be doing it with me was unable to make it, so we ended up just rehashing some depth stuff. So if you're still here, it'll be hopefully next week. We could squeeze in another live. I have 4 summer classes that I start, 3 of them on Monday. I don't know what I was thinking, but kind of crazy. So I'll see how my workload is with new classes. It should be interesting.
Oh, that's a lot. You're making me tired just listening to you.
You can do it.
I have thought about though, like when we do like member stuff, that like of doing stuff from like the classes like that, like because I had my class this last semester was criminological theory, one of my classes, and it was absolutely amazing information that is so pertinent to everything that we talk about that I was like, maybe I'll throw some of that stuff in there because
you should. When's the crime scene cleaner person coming? I need some
okay,
tips and
that
tricks.
was the other one. So crime scene cleaner was supposed to be on Monday, and they ended up at a convention that they couldn't make it onto the live at the time, and it was too late their time to do it later. So we're just going to completely reschedule that one.
Okay.
So that was kind of just bad timing on scheduling parts. So but they're still in, and they're still wanting to come on. So I know I want to hear their stories. That's going to be crazy.
Too.
So I don't have a date for that. And yeah, the verdict has me perplexed too. But there's so much to that. So I was like, I didn't want to do it by myself because I was like, there's just so much to that case that I know I'll forget stuff. Because that other thing I have a problem with is I do everything basically from memory. So that's really a bad idea when you have so much shit in your head. And you're like, wait a minute, did I miss that part or did I say that wrong?
Yeah. It's hard to do it that way too.
It's so dumb. I don't know why I do it, but I do it every time. And every time I regret it, I'm like, I really should have taken some notes.
But you know what? I've done episodes where I do write some stuff down or have taken notes, and then I don't even look at it when I'm talking.
But mainly just writing it down, like
that's what I was going to say.
Even better.
The act of writing it down is helpful.
Right.
No, it does help. Like, everybody has made not everybody. A lot of people have said, like, how do I remember all the stuff with the West Memphis 3? The truth of the matter is, I don't just. It's not right there. There's some things that are. There are some things that I just have committed to memory. But there are other things that I have to go look up. But once I write it down, it's stored. You know what I mean?
It sounds like me in all my years in Catholic school. That's why I remember anything. I have to write it down. I used to be forced to write it down, and now it's the only way.
Those nuns don't play
50 times in a row.
Yeah, those nuns don't play. They're not.
No, they do not.
They sure don't.
All right.
Well, I was always more scared of the nuns than the priests. Always.
I didn't go to any Catholic schools. Thank gosh. I was just a public school kid.
I went to public school, but I would run into nuns at the church, not frequently, but because it was so rare that I would run into them. They freaked me out.
I'm not comfortable around nuns, even like when I see them in general. Like it makes me uncomfortable. Like I feel like I'm in trouble and I haven't even done anything.
One time I was at the airport and there was a nun, and I was getting my mom from the airport, and the nun was struggling, and I was helping her, and I touched her and my mom's like, "You can't touch nuns." I was like, "Why?" because she's a holy vessel. And I'm not, so I'm just gonna fucking burst into flames.
my
And she said,
gosh.
you might.
You
Even.
might. No shit, then I would
She-
really be scared.
She's like, no, but Jen, it's disrespectful. And I was like, Mom, there was no way for me to help her without touching her arm. Calm down. God
See,
don't care.
we had nice nuns. I went to an Italian parish, and that's where I grew up, was in Little Italy, and it was, the nuns were nice. It was the other moms that were going to kick your ass. It wasn't the nuns.
Wow.
It was all the old Italian ladies that you had to be afraid of.
Yeah, reals.
You went to the nuns for security. You're like, please.
I'm pretty
the
sure
moms
the nun
are
that
after me.
I'm pretty
Exactly.
sure the nun that taught me catechism is going to put in a negative review on me because
Oh,
I used to
God.
ask the most crazy questions because, well, they tell you stuff like God's always watching. And then I'm thinking to myself, which that's part of the guilt. Like, don't fuck up because you got eyes on you. But then I was only, what, 10? So I was thinking, so I asked the nun, does he watch all the time? Like, what if you're in the shower or what if you're pooping?
Yeah, that's what
You
I was
know?
just thinking. Like, so is he watching when you're pooping?
That's what, and she said, well, no. And I said, well, how do you know if he's watching all the time? So then as long as
What happens to people who die when they're pooping?
well, then if you're pooping and doing
Poor
something
Elvis.
bad, do you get
That's what I
a,
was thinking of, Missy.
yeah, if you're pooping and doing something bad, does God not know about it because he doesn't watch you poop?
Yeah, what happens to the people who die in the shower?
Well, nothing. Just what it's meant that he's watching you all the time. So be good. It's meant to keep your ass in line. It doesn't have anything to do with you dying. It's just because he's omnipotent and he's everywhere all the time. And it's the way that they like to control you with guilt and shame.
This took a weird turn. Look, keep criminality
Sorry.
weird. Look, we brought it, circle back, circle back, circle back.
Did take a weird
Keep
turn.
it weird.
Keep it weird, people. Keep it weird.
Keep it weird.
Jesus is a zombie, according to Shemitah. So there you go.
That's not Shemitah's, that's me. Because I asked about that.
If he's a zombie because he came back to life?
Right. Wouldn't he I mean, is that not what a zombie? Oh my God, you should have seen the look on that nun's face when I asked that. Yeah. Yeah, you should have seen the look on that.
Steph's piping in. Hold on. Chris fixed a nun's car at our house when she couldn't afford his shop, and she kept making me pray with her. Oh, uncomfortable. Did you do it, Steph?
I'm pretty sure that the nun, after after she had me in catechism, I'm sure she took a vow of silence.
Well, at least like they're not asking like if they can pray for you. I'd rather them say like, can I pray will you pray with me than can I pray for you? Because then I'd be like, well, shit, what do you see? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Is it end times? Can you give me a heads up? How much time do I got?
We will save Revelations for
around?
another show.
How I need to know about how much time I got to turn this around.
I want to hear Jen Lou cover the book of Revelation.
Tell me what I got to do.
Well, I find the book of Revelation fascinating. It's one of the best books there is.
Well, look, I am a big Waco nerd. If anybody ever wants to talk about Waco, invite me.
Oh, yeah, I would love to talk about it. We watched it, the whole standoff, when I was in high school.
Night, Nikki.
It was on my birthday.
Was it?
Yes.
Was it really?
Fucking
yeah,
David
and
Koresh.
the Oklahoma City bombing, which happened because of Waco, but I have a fun birthday. Clinton declared my birthday the National Day of Mourning. I will never forget that day.
Missy, you know when my birthday is, right?
I don't think I do.
9/11.
Oh, that's right.
Uh-huh.
That's right. That's my father-in-law's birthday as well.
I just have the Challenger explosion on my birthday. You guys have way bigger tragedies than I do.
Wow, you have that on your birthday?
Yeah, January 28th.
Wow.
That had the teacher on it.
Yep.
So ironic because we have a school around here that is named after that teacher.
Christy McCullough or something like that. McCullough.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. How weird that we all had something like that happen.
And now we're drawn to true crime, and that's probably where the fuck it started.
Yeah.
Some national tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're sucked in. It shaped our whole lives.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do I have any excuse that I was actually into true crime before 9/11?
Well, I'm sure there are other bad things that have happened on 9/11 that now have fallen by the wayside because of the bigger 9/11. So I bet if we look, we can trace it back to that. We all have shared trauma. Look at us.
Oh,
This is the way you really bond, assholes. Not this hate bonding. That's for
Yeah,
weak
stop hate
people.
bonding.
That's
Bond over
there's so
weak.
much other cool stuff to bond
Yeah,
over.
bond over trauma. That should bond you for life.
Wait,
They need to be like Johnny Depp
the
and
SARS trauma is that she was born on the same day as Richard Nixon.
oh, BR, you're a dick.
Well, and like that guy's like my 15th cousin or something.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
All
right.
right. I gotta go eat some food. I'm like starving. I'm like munching over here on little bits of food.
All right.
And
Thanks
it's
for
like
having
late, you
me.
guys. No, thank you guys. Thank you from the bottom of my heart and soul. I appreciate you guys more than I can even tell you in words.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. It was nice to talk to the both of you.
Well, it was amazing. And so we're gonna do one more though. We'll do at least one more to wrap it all up next week.
Yeah.
I don't even drink anymore, but I will pour myself a mega pint just for the wrap.
I ordered a mega pint of Dr. Pepper. Does that count?
Yes. I'm going to drink tea. Lots and lots of tea.
Lots and lots of tea.
CBK said Bob Marley died on the day that they were born.
Oh my goodness.
Oh no.
What? Wow.
I love how Johnny Depp rolls in listening to Bob Marley. Have you heard him?
Freaking love Bob Marley.
Have you guys
yeah.
seen the video of where they put Johnny Depp's testimony to enter Sandman?
No.
Yes.
I'll send you the link.
Send me the link.
It is everything.
Yes.
Have I seen it? I don't think I've seen that.
Yes. I think I've sent it, but I know Brandy saw it. We were laughing about it one day, unless she was gardening at that time and doesn't remember.
She does a lot of gardening.
She does garden. She's the best gardener.
She's a really good gardener. All right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you. I don't know. I'm supposed to probably play something as I get off here, but once again, Christine's not here, so I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to play.
30 lashings from Christine.
Yeah, she'll get me later. But I'm just gonna end it and tell you guys that I really appreciate you all, and I appreciate you, everybody in chat. You guys have been extremely great conversationalists and had some awesome points. And I just hit delete by mistake. LOL. Rest in peace, Bob Marley. Yes, rest in peace, Bob Marley, Elvis, all of them. So, all right. Good night, you guys. Thank you again.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.